hotter with a high of 97 degrees. We are under an extreme heat warning, and you can expect the heat index to reach as high as 107 today. Very light winds, mostly sunny skies. We only fall to about 79 degrees overnight, and then we do it again tomorrow with that excessive heat. Please be cautious if you are outside. Take frequent breaks indoors or in the shade. With your First Alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Happy Monday to you. Yeah, I know there was definitely some news that happened over the weekend. We're going to get you caught up on all of that, give some perspective as well here in just a little bit. One thing's a little bit different today. Normally, Congressman Bob Onder's with us at 7:35. Well, he's got some travel schedule and some other things going on. He's not going to be with us, but guess who is? The incoming congressman from Missouri's 5th District. State Senator Rick Brattin. Believe it or not, that 5th District, as it's been redrawn, that extends into the News Talk STL listing area. Yeah, from downtown Kansas City into News Talk STL land here. So we're going to talk to future Congressman Rick Brattin at 7:35 as well. Now, one of the freshmen that he's going to be in the same congressional class with in January is 6th District Congressman, soon to be 6th District Congressman Chris Stigall, who joined us on Friday's program to give us a look at what he wants to bring to Congress, obviously not just for the 6th District, but for Missouri as well. And a couple things he said actually surprised us. Here is GOP nominee for the 6th District congressional seat, Chris Stigall.
Yes, there is still a midterm election in November, but in the deep red 6th District in Missouri, primary election's the big one, and it's a matter of Mr. Stigall goes to Congress. Now, there's a tradition in campaigns is you never assume and say that until actually the election, which I respect, and I don't think Chris is going to do that, but I'll say it. So soon to be Congressman-elect Chris Stigall joins us right now, not to put the superstitions or traditions in any danger.
Way to
there,
go,
Chris,
Mike.
but thanks so much for being on the show. That was a big win. I mean, several candidates came down to you and one other, and that was a handy victory. Basically, that you won several points. I think a lot of people figured you were the favorite on this, but you won by more than what I think a lot of people did. So what was it that you think the 6th District voters were saying, not to disparage any other candidate, but when they said, okay, Chris, you're going to go to Washington and here's what we want you to do? What was it that resonated when you were campaigning or are campaigning that the 6th District wants to be taken as a priority to Washington, D.C.?
Well, hey, good morning, guys, and thanks for having me on. And, Mike, now I feel like I've got to not wash my jersey or the dress shirt or whatever for the next 3 months until we get there. You've just jinxed it or something. But, no, anyway, guys, thank you. Look, the thing about this primary was 5 people in it. Family food fights are never comfortable. Sam Graves has been in this seat for 26 years. So when Republicans get together and have to decide who the next candidate's going to be, their next nominee, those are never fun. And so I really respect the 4 other guys that I ran alongside. They're good men, Nathaniel Schultz, Cody Oshel, Jim Ingram, and Nathan Willett. And they made me a better candidate. My wife said often to me, you should have to experience primaries. You should have to go through it. You shouldn't just walk into anything. And, endorsements don't mean anything. You've got to go out and earn votes. And so your question, why ultimately did voters choose me? I hope it's because after 25 years of talking about the issues behind a microphone, I said it's just important that we know what time it is. We have to know what the American left's agenda is about. They're deadly serious about it. They don't like the country as founded. And I think you need people that can define that easily, call it out, and aren't afraid to joust with them in a succinct way. I mean, in 2026, you got to boil everything down to a minute or less. You know that. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's important right now that we have great communicators on the issues we care about.
Good morning, Chris. This is Susie Moore. I am like you. I don't want to jinx anything, so I don't want to ask you to look past November. Obviously, you have to win that election as well. But assuming you do, I have a 2-part question for you. First, do you know all of the other members of the Missouri congressional delegation? Is there going to be somebody new to you, or you already are acquainted with them? And then second, do you know yet what sort of orientation process they put you through, assuming you do win in November?
I think it's heavy hazing. I think
I'm hoping so. That would only be appropriate.
No, you know what? I'm very, very fortunate in that Mark Alford, the congressman from the 4th Congressional District, is a dear friend of mine of 30 years. And we met years ago when he was a news anchor in Kansas City, and I was a talk show host. And so I've watched him from a distance. And in fact, just this morning, he texted and said, "How can I help?" It's a great comfort. You know, Representative Onder, Representative Burleson, Representative Smith, I know those gentlemen well, and they have all reached out to say they want to help or how can I help. And I'm eager to learn from them. There's a lot I don't know. You know, you got to find the bathroom and where the light switches are and all of that stuff. I get that. But what I did tell House leadership is if we're fortunate enough to get there, I'd very much like to start messaging. I mean, that's the thing I know I can do. I don't understand all the processes and procedures and how the sausage is made and all of that stuff. You know, you got a lot to do in terms of physical orientation. But one thing I do understand are the issues. And I told the team of House Republicans, if I can be helpful in communicating, that's what I'd love to start doing as soon as they'd like me.
All right, we're visiting Chris DeGaulle, now the Republican nominee for Congress in Missouri's 6th District. We've heard a lot about agriculture. Senator Josh Hawley talking a lot about that right now. Talk about USDA operations moving into the heartland as well. Talking about everything from, governmental support to tariffs and all that sort of thing. You got a lot of farmers in your district, Chris. So when you go into D.C., one, is the Agriculture Committee going to be something you're going to be pushing for? And two, what needs to be done differently regarding farming and agriculture policy in the U.S.?
When we get there, after this election in November, the first thing I told voters in Missouri 6 as I've crisscrossed it and talked with a whole lot of farmers is the Agriculture Committee is the first item on my agenda. I got to get there. There is no Missouri member on it at present, which is kind of hard to believe, and that is the number one industry in all of Missouri, never mind North Missouri in the 6th District. So yeah, that's where I want to be first. And then when you talk about things that we've got to do, the Farm Bill is one. Farmers just want a little certainty. That's in a very uncertain thing that no business is quite like but agriculture. They don't control their input costs. They don't control what they get on the backside of their sale. The one thing they'd just like to know is stuff like crop insurance, the stuff they can count on so that they can at least rest assured that if there are troubles, somebody's got their back. That Farm Bill hasn't passed since 2018. It's gummed up in the Senate again, as I understand it. I would love to figure out, and I know this has been something many have talked about, but I would love to figure out why it's so gummed up with a bunch of other legislative priorities that have really nothing to do with our farmers and producers. I'd love to just streamline the process. So again, those that are doing the hard work of farming have just a little bit of certainty. We've got to tackle manufacturing our fertilizer domestically. The costs of that are outrageous, and why we're not producing more of it here is frustrating. And then naturally fuel and energy costs through the roof. We're also looking at right to repair issues, farm equipment. It's getting less and less and less, the people that are making it, and more a stronghold on farmers and where they've got to go to get it repaired. We've got to make sure that we're not engaged in non-competitive practices that are choking farmers economically. So there's plenty to do to just give them some kind of certainty.
Okay, one quick note, because I know Susie's got a question. The right to repair that you brought up, people need to look into that more. There's the agriculture application, but there's everything like to your personal electronics. And that's one of the areas where there is a left-right crossover regarding the right to repair thing. So I would recommend people Google search right to repair. A little bit wonky, but it actually affects almost everybody directly. So I'm glad you brought that up, Chris.
Yeah, it's a huge deal because, you buy $1 million combine. You'd think the very least that the manufacturer could do is let you alone to have it fixed the way you'd like. But no, instead you got to sign a hefty contract or deal only exclusively with the maker of that combine annually for a software upgrade or whatever. That seems a little heavy-handed to me. So I'm glad the Trump administration is investigating it.
Chris, you mentioned how key messaging is, and I think we see that over and over again. For some reason, the left does messaging way better than the right does. And you take issues like we just saw the ballot issues, the constitutional amendment issues here in Missouri, 4 and 5, that were key issues, key agenda items for the right. And yet somehow the messaging just didn't get done right. How do you see incorporating your background, your skills in that regard, in incorporating that into leading as a member of Congress?
Amendment 4 is the perfect example, Susie. I'm glad you asked. When people would come to me on the campaign trail, now again, I'm running as a federal candidate. I don't have anything to do with what's coming out of Jefferson City or amending the Missouri Constitution, but people ask me as a Missouri voter, how do you feel about these amendments? And on Amendment 4, I said, very simply, Democrats' only way of impacting the future of Missouri is to get 100,000 college kids on a campus to sign a petition, slap it on a ballot, and get St. Louis County and Jackson County to vote yes. And every county in Missouri now has to live with that. Now, that's nuts, don't you think? And everyone would say, well, yes, that's nuts. And I'd say that's why Amendment 4 is so important. Everybody has to have buy-in. All congressional districts have to have buy-in before we amend our Constitution in the future. Don't you think that makes sense? And everyone said, yes. Every time I explained it that way, people understood it and shared my point of view. But the left is very good at saying, no on 4, no on 5, you should have freedom to speak. And it's like, well, yeah, I'd like freedom to speak. and you know, they distill everything down to this mythical lie that your voice will no longer be heard if you vote yes on Amendment 4. It's just the opposite, actually. Amendment 4 stops mob rule from telling every county in Missouri the way they're going to do their business and the things they're going to allow and the way we're going to amend the Constitution. I know how to distill things down simply, like Rush used to say about the left. I know them like every square inch of my glorious naked body. I know these people, and I know what they say, and so I know how to do a little jujitsu that way.
We're visiting with Chris DeGaulle. Just got a minute or so left here. Chris, okay, you mentioned, for instance, the energy cost, and obviously you can't separate a lot of that out from what's happening in Iran right now. There's essentially no congressional oversight of what's happening with the war in Iran, the on-again war. What do you want to see? What do you want to see from here on out regarding what the U.S. is doing? And at some point, does Congress need to reassert its constitutional oversight of war, frankly?
Yeah, what can't go on is this on-again, off-again light switch Strait of Hormuz thing. I can't tell you until I get there what specifically the intel is and what the president knows. I don't know. I trust this president. I trust Marco Rubio and the Defense Department under Pete Hegseth. They're watching it. I trust their judgment on this thing. But it seems to me that if the Iranian regime continues to stay in control, and it appears that they will, we need options and alternatives, particularly when it comes to energy. And it's got to be more than the straight opening and closing every other day that Iran gets a bee in their bonnet. And so my hope is we're finding alternatives quickly to get energy to market, domestically, of course, but I understand that some of their neighbors are now actively talking about other ways to get oil out of the Middle East besides through the Strait. I think that's what the White House is doing, but it's just right now we're in this flux, this interim time where Iran holds the keys to that darn strait. And will Congress have to get involved in figuring out alternatives if this on-again, off-again thing doesn't quit? Certainly we will.
All right, Chris DeGaulle, the GOP nominee, to be accurate here, for Congress in the heavily Republican 6th District. I'll put it that way. And then, Chris, obviously, you still got a little bit of a campaign left for the midterms. Website, social media, we've already retweeted you, but people want to get in touch, especially those. This is like right there in the 94.1 territory of News Talk STL. Hopefully, we'll have a regular conversation with you here on the show.
I'd love it. StigallForCongress.com. Mike, Susie, I would love to be here as often as you'll have me, and I look forward to many, many conversations as we head to November.
All right, as always, 314-912-1019. You get involved in the conversation there. Don't forget, if you haven't already downloaded that News Talk STL app, it is free. It is easy to download. Any app store's got it, and you can take us with you anywhere that you want. We like to say around here, if you've got a phone, you've got a radio, and so check that out. Just look up News Talk STL, all one word. That app is free, and it plugs into any Bluetooth system that you've got or just into your headphones. So be sure to get that. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime. News Talk STL right on my phone. Anywhere.
Bengal's restaurant offers an inviting atmosphere, neighborly service, and a vibrant happy hour scene, all in the heart of Warson Woods. From their kitchen to your plates, beloved comfort favorites like chicken parmesan and lasagna to steakhouse-style classics. Slide up to the vintage bar or hit the patio for happy hour specials every Tuesday through Friday. Bengal's Restaurant and Bar, 10017 Manchester Road. Check out the menu and reserve a table online at bengalsrestaurant.com.
Susie Moore here for the team at Mattress Dogs. They're proud to be family-owned and operated. Thanks to customers just like you, they've grown from 1 store to 5 across the St. Louis area, each filled with the latest sleep technology and America's most trusted mattress brands. Right now, during the Labor Day sale, save thousands on Tempur-Pedic, Beautyrest Black, Sealy Posturepedic, King Coil, and more. Plus, save up to 70% off retail on select clearance mattresses while it lasts.
Visit any of the 5 Mattress Dogs locations or shop online today at mattressdogs.com. MattressDoggzz.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Treasurer Vivek Malik. You know we can't do an interview without talking about one of your favorite subjects.
That is Show Me My Money. ShowMeMoney.com.
Exactly.
Yes.
Show me the money. All right, how much money are you holding and how much have you given back?
We are holding about $1.5 billion of
That's
this
incredible.
money.
Wow.
And everybody should get on to ShowMeMoney.com and look up their name, and I say, come get your money. Indeed.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit MagicExpeditions.com. That's MagicExpeditions.com.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
It's not often you can make a real difference in the lives of kids. When you volunteer as an optimist, you'll be helping kids take a positive turn in their lives. As their role model, mentor, leader, and friend, you'll help young people develop positive attitudes and approaches to life that will enable them to excel in school and in our community. So if you care about kids, give yourself a present by volunteering today. Optimists, bringing out the best in kids.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, is this a black versus white thing? Is it a conservative versus leftist thing? Is it a straight versus gay thing? Why is the person who was at this station in the studio so deaf that I have to turn the headphones down so much? Okay, or is this just part of the show to give people any reason to watch the WNBA? I'm going to start. I'm going to call it out. Okay.
Okay, I mean, it could be all of the above in theory,
yeah.
Or it could be very clever PR and marketing strategy to announce to the world, hey, we're finally going to have people that can dunk in the WNBA.
Here's the funny thing is, like, I'm seeing suddenly, like, conservative media and conservative social media is all really, really standing up about they've got strong opinions about the WNBA. And then you go to any of them and you're like, okay, name 3 teams in the WNBA. And they'll say, okay, Indiana Fever, because Caitlin Clark plays on that team.
Crickets.
I honestly couldn't tell you another team name whatsoever.
I
mean,
I feel very bad doing this to people, but I do know some women that are very vocal about the feminist ideology, every single time. What is your WNBA dream team?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No. And listen, There's nothing wrong with starting leagues for women.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. We have a history of that in the United States during World War II. You go see the movie A League of Their Own based on that. It was there's not, and then now you've got the Women's Professional Baseball League that's playing its entire season out of Springfield, Illinois, at a minor league ballpark there. And I'm seeing some clips on there, and I think for that level of baseball, I think they're doing well, although I will continue to judge them for using aluminum bats, but that's a separate thing. I judge college men's teams for using aluminum bats. I judge our 18 and over leagues here that sometimes I play in for using aluminum bats, but that's an aluminum bat thing.
Well, and I think it also depends sports-wise, sort of, I guess, what the spirit of the sport is versus why people are tuning in. So, for example, like, I don't think the WNBA will ever be women's tennis. Women's tennis is actually, it's very much indistinguishable from men's tennis if you're like a casual watcher. But
although I would say the women's tennis to me has almost been more interesting to watch because they play more of a net game back, whereas the men are much more of a power game. So I actually find the women's game really interesting to watch.
Exactly. And so that's the way that sport functions, though, is that there are multiple valid, equally entertaining ways. Yeah. With basketball, I mean, there's really only so many ways to make a basketball game entertaining.
Good point, which brings me to all of the nonsense over the last few days. Okay, where do we start? There is the one player who, like, decapitated the other player. Was it Caitlin Clark or Sophie Cunningham or one of them that she did? And then the drama ensued. They get up and do the fake pushing and shoving thing after the hard foul. It was clearly intentional. I mean, it was no question about that. And then the black player goes on social media after she gets ejected from the game for trying to decapitate another human being, and then says white privilege. I'm like, what a stupid thing to say. And then, then you've got Clay Travis over at Outkick.com. He says, okay, I've got something like a $10 million challenge. It's like you put together, it was either the championship team from the WNBA or an all-star team. Take your pick. He said, and I will pick one boys state championship basketball team from anywhere in the country and play for $10 million. Well, the WNBA is not going to do that, because they know they'll get stomped by the high school boys. And then you've got this thing where Clay Travis says, I'm going to buy in for a franchise, and I'm going to do nothing but men who claim they're women. And then you've got the two former NBA players who said, hey, we looked at your rules, and your rules say all you have to do is claim you identify as a woman, and then you can play. So we've declared for the NBA draft, and then the NBA like administration leagues, and we're going to put together a committee to talk about what a woman is. So basically, Matt Walsh was 4 years or 5 years ahead of them.
Well, when they figure that out, they should tell Ketanji Brown Jackson, and so she can rule on that in Supreme Court going forward.
They are just making it so easy, and so that's why I'm a little bit later. I think maybe later on today, I'm starting to wonder if this stuff is staged, just because nobody watches the WNBA, unless you've got the Mean Girls catfights or lesbian drama or political stuff. I mean, is there any other reason to watch it? It's not for the basketball. Have you seen those clips? Hi, it's Mike from The Morning Show, and this coming Friday on the 14th, we are going to be broadcasting from Mario's Donut Restaurant on Mugie Road.
Hey, it's Susie. I'm going to be there, too. We're all going to be there. We want you to be there with us. Join us. Come have some coffee. Come have some donuts.
And, of course, you never know which of our guests is going to show up in person. It's going to be a great time with great food at a great local business, Mario's Donut Restaurant.
That's right. You don't know who might be there, so you better come out and check it out and come join the fun.
Friday, the 14th, 5:30 to 9 a.m.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, government is not the solution, government is the problem. When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Governments shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall selling picture postcards in Kansas City to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the free market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Every 40 seconds, a child disappears. That's 2,000 children every single day. Find the Children is a nonprofit organization fighting to bring them home, but we can't do it without you. Your unwanted car, running or not, can help find missing kids, reunite families, and support the search and rescue efforts that protect children every day. We'll pick it up fast and free with a 24-hour response, and your donation may qualify for a tax deduction. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help locate missing children and educational programs that teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators before it's too late. Together, we can give families hope and bring children home where they belong. Donate your car today and help bring a child home. Find the Children, because every child deserves to come home.
800-757-1340. 800-757-1340. That's 800-757-1340.
This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. A defiant Iran continues insisting on control over the Strait of Hormuz, which the U.S. contends is a critically important international waterway. Iran has been negotiating a partial reopening of the strait in talks with Oman, but Iran says the strait will not fully reopen until the U.S., in Tehran's words, corrects its behavior. Russian drones and missiles continue raining down on Ukraine as the Ukrainians work to bring the war home to Russia.
At least 10 people have been injured as a result of a Russian overnight attack in Sumy, the State Emergency Service of Ukraine reported on Monday. According to local authorities, hits are reported at 3 locations with multi-story and private residential buildings, vehicles and non-residential premises damaged. Meanwhile, a Ukrainian drone attack on Monday on a Russian city has killed around 12 people and wounded dozens, authorities in the Tatarstan region say. Ukraine has targeted Russian oil facilities with long-range drones almost daily in recent months. The barrage causing fuel shortages in Russia, eating into Russian refining capacity and unsettling the Russian public. I'm Charles Tillett.
Leftist candidates for governor in Wisconsin, U.S. Senate in Minnesota, making their final pushes ahead of tomorrow's primaries. Republican Senator Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania.
I thought the idea of socialism and communism was in the dustbin of history, and sadly, it's finding new traction. And if that were to lead our country in the White House, in the majority in the House or the Senate, I think it'd be a disaster.
Senator McCormick speaking with the Salem Radio Network. Wildfires have forced more than 20,000 people to run for their lives in Western Canada. They've had to evacuate their homes. One evacuee says, no words to express the fear you feel when you see a wall of flames racing in your direction. Wall Street, the Dow features down 60 points. Townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're in the midst of yet another heat wave. In fact, temperatures this afternoon going to be even hotter with a high of 97 degrees. We are under an extreme heat warning, and you can expect the heat index to reach as high as 107 today. Very light winds, mostly sunny skies. We only fall to about 79 degrees overnight, and then we do it again tomorrow with that excessive heat. Please be cautious if you are outside. Take frequent breaks indoors or in the shade. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Hey everyone, this is Jesse from Reach Reproductive Health, and I need you to mark your calendar because on October 22nd, it's going to be a big night in St. Louis. It's going to be our second annual Reach Gala, and it's happening at the factory. Incredible live music, powerful speakers, a night to celebrate life, and to support the Reach mission. Stay tuned to find out who's taking the stage. I promise you won't want to miss it. Registration is open right now at outreachforlife.org/gala.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
I'd love to come on your program and debate you personally. I'm a pretty intelligent, average Joe. American people are all worked up. I'm with you. I'm outraged with what's happened. There are a lot of fascinating questions here.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Mike Ferguson.
Shut this sucker down.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
You're not supposed to lie, but you're definitely not supposed to lie when you're under oath.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
All right, let's talk about, I want to do something a little weird here because, you know, it's me and I do that from time to time. Can we talk about what we're not talking about too much today?
Sure.
Okay. Election last week, obviously, a lot of high emotions, shocking results. Not that 4 and 5 lost. I expected that to happen, but by the margins that they lost. And so you've got all the political types, which are, you know, there have been meetings in Jeff City, let's put it that way, and all around the state as well. And so now there's all kinds of questions as what does this mean moving forward, and we've talked to a number of people on that, and we will. But can I just point out that, yeah, we've got a lot of work to do before November, especially with conservatives, because there were some wins as far as individual races. But conservatives, if you're not taking note and going, maybe the state isn't as conservative as we thought. On the Missouri side, Illinois is like a mirror image. You know, because you would look at Illinois like this is deep blue. It's all Democrats. There are no Republicans anywhere. But Illinois is not left-wing culturally once you get about 2/3 of the way down. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, the top third of Illinois is deep blue and almost everything else is pretty red other than a few spots. So you get kind of the mirror images at the river. Having said that, I know time is going to be of the essence coming up in the November elections. But I hope everybody just took a breather and decompressed. And I don't have anything in today's show regarding the upcoming November elections and the campaigns. We got other stuff we can talk about. And I just want to point out it's okay to not redline constantly on that. So I want to start the week off like that.
That's what I did this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't.
I hung out at the pool.
You are a little tan.
Yeah.
You did. I played some baseball games yesterday. Mm-hmm. Well, I played one. It was kind of funny because I had 2 games that were for 2 different teams, one at 10 a.m. on Sunday and then the other noon. but they were like 40 minutes apart.
Mm.
And so my team that played at noon, they were like, Mike, we really need you there. We're running short on players, and the catcher we have is he's down in his back, but he thinks he can play. You're probably going to have to catch the second part of the game. Okay, I said I will get there as fast as I can. My team at 10 o'clock, we won. Yeah, we won the game.
Great.
Yeah. And so as soon as the last pitch was over, I do the good game, high five everybody. I'm like, I'm out of here, guys. And then I head over to O'Fallon, Illinois from Brentwood. And I get there within an hour of the time the game started. So I made, I did all right.
Not too shabby.
They were already in the 6th inning because the pitchers were so good that the innings just went like that.
Move.
So I got there in time to get credit for being at the game, but they didn't need me. I was in the batting lineup, but they didn't get to me. So I got a little bit of a physical break on that, and then we just went and got barbecue afterwards. So that works.
Sounds
too.
like a
That was
perfectly
worth-
fine
that
way to spend a
was-
Sunday.
That was worth the trip. So I didn't think about anything political. And then Sunday night, I start looking through some of the news feeds. I'm like, okay, well, the one player, got the hard foul. I think she was
Sophie
ejected. Yeah,
got
'cause-
clotheslined by
right.
Dejanay, whatever her last name is.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was basically, it's like, well, why'd you throw out of the game? I think there's something in the rules about attempted decapitation.
Yeah, I generally frowned upon it, even in this league.
Even, and so then I start saying all this drama. Then I say Clay Travis basically trolling them, putting up millions of dollars, saying, "Oh, I'll spend millions of dollars to troll you."
Mm-hmm.
And then the league is like going into, and we'll get into more detail on this a little bit later. And I'm starting to think, and this is going to be the thing I'm going to put, so you can be thinking about my take on this and agree or disagree. I'm starting to think the WNBA is like the only reason anybody watches this is if we have all of this drama and conflict.
Oh, that's definitely at this point. I mean, that's why all the attention is on them. It's not because of the level of play or anything. No.
Which again, we'll kind of get into that here in let's just do it at 6:20. We'll just jump right in.
Sure.
Because I'm looking at other women's sports, and other leagues are trying to do it right, and they're not getting anywhere near the attention. Yeah,
I mean, there was a lot of controversy swirling around the WNBA right now. I mean, when I woke up yesterday morning and actually did do a little bit of editing work. I mean, Red State was very Sophie centric.
Yeah.
Because there was just a lot around that story. It definitely has people's attention.
And the league decided that they were from the get-go just going to embrace full-on leftist ideology, which is one of the dumb things any professional sport can do.
Yeah, I don't know why you're embracing ideology as a
Right.
sports.
I mean,
doesn't in the long run work out for you.
Don't embrace. Go in and say, hey, we're right wing and conservative ideology. Don't do. Be that breather. Back to my original point. Be that breather that people need. That's the value, and you guys get to make millions of dollars. Because remember, if I were a gambler, if I were a betting man, I'm not, but if I were, I would put all the money in my wallet right now against all the money in your wallet right now that there will not be a Major League Baseball season next year. Period. It is not going to happen.
I have $5.
Okay. Yep. That's
I just don't carry cash anymore.
I know, but I don't know. I've probably got 10 maybe. But there's not going to be. And in addition to the economic gut punch that St. Louis is going to have for that, that's one of the areas where people can still go and decompress and not be at each other's throats, both proverbially and sometimes literally.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I try to heed that advice. I try to make sure that, and especially, I work a lot of hours, but I try to make sure that, particularly on the weekends, I step away from.
Yeah, you have
that.
to.
Yeah. I mean, we went to the Muni Saturday night, went to see Meet Me in St. Louis. That was great.
Oh, how was it?
It was great. It was great. There, we had seen it in 2018 as well. This production, the quality of the set was amazing.
Which day did you see that?
Saturday.
Okay, so before super heat wave came in, but it was probably still pretty hot.
No, it was hot Saturday.
I say it was pretty hot.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't miserable, but it was definitely warm. But no, I mean that didn't take away from the show. It wasn't one of those where you were just melting the entire time. But no, the quality of just the stage presentation and everything. I mean the show itself is kind of a traditional, feel good one. The performers all did a great job. So that was a fun little diversion too. But again, it's all about St. Louis and the World's Fair and.
You'd have to have a good set, though. I mean, with the movie, that was like so much of the movie was like all the way they put.
Yeah, but they've found a way
setup,
now at the Muni. I mean, the Muni obviously is unique because of its outdoor setting, but they have found a way now to use technology and the outdoor setting to actually. I mean, it really popped the way that they did it versus 8 years ago, which was still good. It's just amazing what they've been able to do now with the technology.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what the last thing I saw at the Muni was. I think it was like, what was it? Something funny happened on the way to the.
A funny thing happened on the way to the
reference to the Greek myth.
That. And I don't remember what year that was.
Yeah, that was probably 3 or 4 years ago. I haven't been there.
We used to have season tickets, so I used to go all the time. But my cousin was kind enough to invite us this past weekend, and it was great. It was again You're totally decompressing from politics.
You have to.
You're just enjoying life.
Because, listen, there's a lot of work to be done between now and November.
Yes, there is.
I mean, there's a lot. And on the Missouri side, there's really no drama in the general election when it comes to congressional seats, when it comes to the statewide
Not the
auditors
candidates,
race.
no.
I mean, there's just really, we know what's going to happen. We're going to talk to the next congressman from the 5th District, Rick Brattin, here at 7:35.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very confident saying he's going to be the next congressman because that's the way it is. Yeah. And there's really not that much drama on the Illinois side, because of the way the districts are drawn. The primary elections just determine them. Amendment 3 is going to be a knockdown, drag-out brawl through the state of Missouri involving $30, $40, $50 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. And so it's going to be ugly. It's because it's an important high-stakes race. But I'm saying even as important as that is, you cannot let that define you, and you've got to preserve your sanity in the meantime. Go to work when it's time to work. Go play when it's time to play. Go see a play when it's time to see a play.
That's good advice.
Go to a ball game when it's time to go to a ball game. Go to a concert when it's time to go to a concert.
Live.
Yes. We I mean, that's live.
Live your life.
Yeah, exactly.
The way to do it. You know what a good way to live your life is?
What would that be?
You need to sprinkle some donuts into it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. This Friday, we are going to be doing a live show, the morning show from Mario's in St. Peter's, which I'm very excited for because it's right down the street from me.
Yeah, you can walk.
I can pretty much walk to the show. But we want you to come out and join us. We're going to be there enjoying donuts and coffee and all kinds of good company. So please come watch us do our show or listen to us do our show from Mario's.
Or come on out because you never know which of our guests who are normally on the phone may end up being there in person.
This is true. This is true.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up. Mike Ferguson.
6 a.m. and already the boy ain't right.
On Newstalk STL.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Hey, folks, Jamie Allman here for Newstedter's Fine Jewelry right there at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend. WowDiamonds.com. It's Wow Diamonds for a reason. These are beautiful lab-grown diamonds. They are gorgeous. They will blind you when you walk in and see them, but that's a good thing. Great engagement sets, wedding sets, all these beautiful God-created gems, sapphires, rubies, you name it, garnets, and also all the gold you need, and the famous bull of a watch, WowDiamonds.com.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
Do we want to get right?
Hey, it's Vic and Ken. We're on every Monday through Friday on NewsTalkSTL. Kenny, how are you?
I'm good.
You know, you got to be some kind of weirdo to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do radio.
You do, believe me.
And that weirdo is Mike Ferguson in the morning show on 101.9 and 94.1 NewsTalkSTL. Whoosh.
Okay, I'm just going to point out I'm kind of interested and a little bit amused by the sudden interest that a bunch of conservatives now have in the WNBA, because I don't think they give a crap what happens on the court. I mean, as far as the game, the ball playing, and the shots and the scores and the standings, and I think it's just all the conflict and drama. And now that you've got the so-called trans thing, and then you've got the black players saying it's all white privilege, and the WNBA now just being trolled into oblivion over left-wing ideology. I think that's why I think as soon as this runs its course, people are going to go back to ignoring them.
Yeah, I don't think I would limit that to conservatives, though. And I will say this. Before all this latest controversy, people were very dialed in on Caitlin Clark and her career. Mm-hmm. People were very attuned to that. And I'm not saying they were big WNBA fans, right, but they were following like her success and some of the unfairness that they feel like she's been subjected to. Mm-hmm. That's been going on for a while.
Right.
The latest stuff is because of Sophie's comments regarding transgender players, that sort of thing, and then the ensuing fallout of that.
Yeah. So here's what happened is the white player gets decked by the black player. The black player is ejected for attempted decapitation, and then says the white player has white privilege on a social media post. And then I saw a clip this morning, and apparently, I guess Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark play on the same team.
Yes, now they do. Mm-hmm.
And so at the post-game press conference, which every professional league does, they were asking their coach about it, and their coach was soft pedaling and trying to not criticize the player who could have broken her player's neck. Mm-hmm. And so that's how ingrained the whole woke thing is.
Right.
You know?
Throw your own players under the bus to preserve the virtue signal.
And so if it weren't for the cat fights, if it weren't for, you go into Brittany Griner and the lesbian drama and the trash talking, which is cute, not many would still even know the league exists outside of these couple of players. I think there's been a big push, but even like right now, you say, okay, Mike, name 3 teams. I can name you Indiana Fever, and I'm following the news, but I don't know who. I just don't care. And I think there's so many people like, well, who's the leading scorer? I don't know. Who has the most? I don't know. Who's in first? I don't know. But that player got decked, and then it's a black-white thing, and that's what people are tuning in for. And then Clay Travis is having way too much fun.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if the WNBA ends up not working out very long term for Caitlin Clark, she could always have a position with the UFC, right?
She knows how to take a beating. I don't know that she knows how to give a beating.
Sophie Cunningham was already offered the WWE.
Ooh.
Oh, was she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, they got that grit and that attitude for that, and I mean. I hate saying that because I don't like the idea that the league is quite literally just letting people beat up on players because they don't want to make it a issue of some sort. But the amount of times you see like an NFL player score a point and they're doing that little like celebratory dance, it's almost coming off like anytime somebody in the NBA does something, you have to go and beat up on Caitlin Clark. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's the icky shuffle of the WNBA. Yeah.
I want to point something out because a lot of people will say, oh, you know what? I don't like the NBA. I don't follow the NBA. I like college hoops, but I don't follow the NBA. I've heard that over and over again. Yeah. We're talking about male sports.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the WNBA, again, it's a women's sport, so no, it's not going to have as much recognition or attention. But I want to be very careful because like I was saying last week, we
talk endlessly about the fact that women should have sports
Mm-hmm.
and that men shouldn't be playing in women's sports, and that's part of the
Part of
whole
what's going on
controversy.
right now, yeah.
So I don't want to denigrate or
Mm-hmm.
minimize and say, well, no one really cares how they do because they don't, it's not that interesting. No one cares. I mean, that's counterproductive, I think.
But is it true?
Well, it might be true for you, but maybe it's not true for everybody.
But overall, I mean, yeah, there obviously everything's got, there. But overall, on the larger scale, is it true?
Okay, but if it's true, then just why do we even bother having them?
Well, I'm asking the question. I mean,
Right.
because they have leaned into putting the spotlight everywhere except on the athletic competition of their players.
Don't disagree with that.
So who's making them irrelevant? I mean, if it weren't the political arguments and the ideological arguments, would anybody be paying attention to them whatsoever?
Well, and that's, I mean, we were talking about this before Susie arrived, but I kind of do want your, your input on this. So, like the WNBA, I think it's the nature of certain sports that people are just naturally not inclined to gravitate towards. So, for example, if I could watch Shaquille O'Neal dunk all day versus whatever they're doing on the NBA court besides beating up Caitlin Clark, I'm going to be watching probably the NBA. But when it comes to, like, for example, the female league of the UFC, because fundamentally there are different, the differences between biological men and women, they had to adjust their fighting style so it wasn't just always a ground and pound, and that actually created an extra dimension to UFC that made it very engaging and very entertaining to watch. And then same thing with female tennis. I mean, you don't see people complaining about female tennis players not getting paid equally and all that.
No, the women's tennis brings in similar ratings to the men. It's a different game, but it's still really really sometimes I'd rather watch the female tennis just because they play, like I said, more of that net angles game where the men tend to just use a power game. And I think the women's game sometimes is more interesting, just more strategically interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and I'm going to speak up as the girl in the room.
Yeah.
I feel like as somebody who came up when women were just being allowed into sports and they fought tooth and nail to have that equality and that opportunity. I understand that when you're talking about a competitive sport like baseball or football or basketball, men's levels are far more athletic and far more challenging, and so they're going to draw more eyeballs, partly just from tradition, but because of the level of competition. I don't fault anybody for that. I think that makes complete sense. But I also want to be careful that in acknowledging that we're not basically saying, well, women's sports kind of suck, so whatever. I mean, that's where I feel like I'm getting some of that, not just from you guys. I mean, just like in general, and I feel like that is inconsistent with having the fight about keeping men out of women's sports. Because it's like, well, on the one hand, you're saying it's not interesting. And on the other hand, you're saying you need to leave it alone.
You see, I think what's happening is everything you just complained about the WNBA is bringing on themselves needlessly. I think that because that's really what the criticism is. I mean, I see all the reels and the I'll say style of play, that sort of thing, the quality of play. And I think if they'd come in and said, these are the best female basketball players in the world, left it at that and competed, then you build up eventually your niche audience for that, and sometimes it grows and sometimes it doesn't. And then you get somebody like Caitlin Clark, who, was immensely popular at the University of Iowa and brought in ratings on television and all that sort of thing. And then the entire WNBA hates her.
Yeah, I want to make clear that I am not in any way defending the WNBA, like the way the league has handled things, because I think they've been terrible about it.
I think they have brought on the treatment that they're getting. I think the league has brought it all on themselves.
I think there's two different things going on.
Yeah.
I think that they've brought a ton of criticism rightly on themselves. I mean, I think there's no question about that. But I also think there's a dismissive attitude about women's sports.
There's some of that, sure.
As a girl, I'm going to speak up and say I don't like it.
Well, as a man, Susie, let me explain why that's wrong.
Could you mansplain it to me,
right.
please?
Yeah, and when then you look at Clay Travis, and I'm curious what you think of his thing. So he's made two challenges. One, he says, I'm going to either buy a franchise or I'm going to put in and start a franchise, and all I'm going to do is get men who identify or claim to identify as women. And then he's got another one saying, I'm going to put up a $10 million bet. I don't know. I don't remember if it was like pick your all-star team or I'll take your champion, and I'm just going to pick a high school boys team around the country. You play them for a $10 million, kind of winner-take-all kind of thing. And of course, people are offended and all that kind of stuff. And then you got the two former NBA players. One of them, I think, was an all-star. And again, I don't really follow the NBA too much, but he's become kind of a really popular conservative guy. And he says, I looked at your rules. All you have to do is claim that you identify.
Right.
I declare for the WNBA draft, and another guy did too.
Yeah, two of them did.
Yeah, two of them
Ennis
did.
Cantor Freedom did, and then Royce, I can't think of his Butler? Royce?
I don't know. And of course, it's just trolling them into oblivion because now the WNBA is back on their heels. And they're essentially like, well, we're going to go have a meeting and have a conference and try to figure out what a woman is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, this is evident. You brought all of this on yourself.
100%.
You brought every bit of this on yourself. And so to your point with, the girls saying you're denigrating women's sport, well, they're doing it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's two different things going on here. They're doing it. The league is making a fool of themselves. Absolutely 100% agree. What I'm saying is the dismissive, well, because women's sports just isn't that interesting attitude is a different issue, and I think that is counterproductive if you're going to say that they should have their own sports and that men shouldn't be playing in them.
Well, okay, I'm trying to make this concise, but is it maybe the fact that because there has been such a activist sort of mentality in general of anything men can do, women can do sort of thing, everything needs to be equal, and maybe that if there were adjustments made to better, I don't want to say, to better, not placate, but incorporates the strengths that female athletes have, that maybe it's because it's too close to the NBA and it's not, and women, watching women play basketball is not usually as intense as watching men play.
No, I just think the nature of it is going to lend itself to men's competition being more, more competitive, more engaging. And I get that. My point is if you're going to say, keep men out of women's sports, women have the right to do this, we need to support women's sports, then to turn around and go, yeah, no one watches them anyway, is rude and dismissive.
I agree entirely.
Maybe it's not your thing. I mean, there's plenty of sports, men or female, that I don't watch and I'm not interested in. I mean, that's not a knock on the sport. It just doesn't do it for me. No. That's fine. I'm just saying I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect or inconsistency there.
Okay, well, I guess conceptual, because again, I was a wrestler, and there were lots of female wrestlers when I was growing up until about later in high school, because that's when puberty.
Which was a big change because there were none when I was in high school.
But you were not at least around me and the tournaments I went to, you would never see people saying, "Oh, ha ha ha, female wrestler thinks she competes," because wrestling is such a dynamic sport that a female could easily beat you if they had the right technique.
Yeah, I think different kinds of sport might have might amplify that more.
So when you're saying that it's like, hey, we're going to give you a league, but we're going to talk down to you for having a league, is that really the same group of people saying both of those things? Or is it something where if the WNBA were to say, look, we're clearly not able to maintain the audience and draw the audience, but if we adjusted sort of the fundamentals or the way that the sport operates to make it to where females can really shine and not have to always be compared to the NBA, then you would have a product that you could say, look, it's different.
And some of the WNBA players have made the argument that they should get paid the same as the NBA, that they're just as valuable. Some of them have actually made that claim.
Well, right. And I don't think you can just make that claim and just say, obviously you've got to draw the eyeballs.
Right.
And I'm saying it's fine to acknowledge that women's sports, especially in these particular sports, may not draw the eyeballs, may not have the allure that men's do. I get that. What I'm saying is how we talk about it. If we're going to talk about it and on the one hand defend women's sports, we shouldn't necessarily just denigrate it and say, well, no one cares anyway. That's what I'm saying.
So we should make sports unisex.
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Not at all. Well, I'm just speaking up on behalf of the girls. Sorry.
And like for instance, the World Women's Professional Baseball League, I think it's WPBL, I think is the term. They're trying to get that started in Springfield. The entire season's out there, and what they're doing is saying this is the collection of the best female baseball players around the world, and then they've gone into a small market and say we're going to build something from here. I haven't watched any games. I've seen a lot of the clips on it, so I'm like, let's see what happens. I've seen a few of them play in amateur tournaments around the country, but let's see what happens. But they're doing this this is what it is, very real.
Right, they're focused on the sport.
They're focused on the sport,
which is right. That's the way to approach it, I think.
And I still judge them, but that's because they use metal bats, and I judge every baseball game.
Snob.
I'm a bat snob. I judge college baseball, the men's, because they use metal bats too. So that's not sexist. That's me being a snob over
Ferguson
baseball
thing.
bats. That is a old school baseball thing.
Fair enough. Now, some in media in St. Louis continues to fawn all over Michael Brown's so-called legacy events that happened this past weekend. Guess what they left out of their stories? We're going to update you on that media nonsense coming up here at 6:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Here's Stadium, where our women basketball teams play.
We know can dunk, but good fundamentals.
That more fun to watch.
On News Talk STL.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are.
And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're in the midst of yet another heat wave. In fact, temperatures this afternoon going to be even hotter with a high of 97 degrees. We are under an extreme heat warning, and you can expect the heat index to reach as high as 107 today. Very light winds, mostly sunny skies. We only fall to about 79 degrees overnight, and then we do it again tomorrow with that excessive heat. Please be cautious if you are outside. Take frequent breaks indoors or in the shade. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
When you count on Connor, you're getting the timeless American values that have guided our company from day one. Hard work, impeccable service, and honesty. At Connor Roofing, you aren't just getting a roof, you're getting safeguarded by a neighbor who cares. When you count on Connor, you're receiving protection for your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. When you dream, you did not complete all the work to graduate.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Vince Colonnese. I'll talk to you tonight at 8, but now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on News Talk STL.
You know, I mentioned this last week. Not much more to say other than the blatant media push to just scrub the Michael Brown, and I'm using massive air quotes here, legacy of, I mean, what's the word I'm looking for here? Criminality? Scrubbing all of that out. And grifting of the people surrounding him. So let's talk about the media coverage, because we don't need to relitigate Michael Brown and his so-called legacy. But the media coverage of it is just eye-rollingly stupid. Not all media jumped in. There were a couple media outlets that were like, yeah, I couldn't find any stories on it. So I think some of them are starting to realize that there's only so much we can push and narrative, or maybe even there's a few people in newsrooms go, should we include the rest of the story?
Well, if you want to do journalism.
Well, the answer typically is no.
I guess
in
not.
St. Louis on some of those. All right, 6:37 right now. Obviously, Susie mentioned been busy, a lot of editing, a lot of stories out there. So when you go to redstate.com, you got a lot of ground to cover. So, Susie, what are we looking for to start the week off at Red State?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Well, as I alluded to earlier, we definitely have been covering the WNBA skirmish and all the stuff with Sophie Cunningham and all that. There's plenty of coverage about that. But there's other things going on in the world, including this. Terry Christoph has this morning. Tensions explode after Texas Town Council approves massive Islamic Center expansion. Yeah, that's going to cause a little bit of a culture clash. If you want to find out more about what's going on in McKinney, Texas, you want to read Terry's piece on that. This one kind of got some eyeballs yesterday. Rusty Weiss has it. AOC injects herself on camera while freezing eggs ahead of possible 2028 run. Huh? That's right. She's freezing her eggs. She's making a big production of it because she realizes that she's not ready to have children yet, but she might want to in the future. But she's letting everybody know that she's being proactive, I guess. Oh. And so it's, yeah.
Okay.
And then this one was kind of cute and interesting and a little offbeat. I don't know. Did you hear the saga about Chuck Grassley and his vacuum cleaner?
No, I can't.
He had an old school vacuum cleaner named Beth. It was nicknamed Beth. It was an old Hoover that looked like it was straight out of the 50s.
Oh, like the big, okay.
Finally up and died over the weekend, and he posted about it on social media. Well, Sister Told You has this one. The story of Chuck Grassley's deceased vacuum, Beth, gets even more hilarious. That's right. Someone has offered him a suitable replacement that isn't yet your modern version. It is kind of a comparable replacement, but it was kind of a cute story.
That kind of is, actually. Because Jerome, now, this, all joking aside, this is going to be something that he probably has never seen in his life. The old vacuum cleaners that look, take some of them would look like a mini version of like a tractor trailer, like tanker, like the ones that carry like farm products or oil or something. And you would have the hose and the suction thing attached to the front, and you would have to drag the big vacuum cleaner behind you.
So this isn't quite that, but it's a very heavy duty. I don't know if you can see it from there.
Yeah.
It's like an old school vacuum.
So I thought they were talking about, because I remember my grandparents having the one that was like the
it looked like an alien was coming to get you.
A long tank that you had to, like, you would do your thing and then you have to haul this heavy thing up next there.
I would just like to put on record, I did not just suddenly spawn into existence one day. I do have grandparents, and I'm familiar with the technology that they use.
See, but I'm not even sure your grandparents would have had this. My grandparents had
I've seen Tom and Jerry.
Valid point.
That's it. Yep.
Valid point.
See, that's when you were describing that. That's what I thought he was talking
about.
Yeah,
no. It was an old, I think it was it might have been from the 70s. I don't know. But it was definitely an old school vacuum, and it basically sparked out and died. And so he was basically, lamenting that on social media. Yeah. It was nicknamed Beth, and that was after a woman that worked with him for a number of years. And it was kind of like a running joke because it was like, I don't know, hardest working person or whatever. It was like that kind of thing. And so, he was lamenting it. And now someone has found a suitable replacement that's not one of your super modern ones.
An hour or so southwest of St. Louis on I-44, and I'm trying to remember what town it's in. There's actually a museum of vacuum cleaners. Right there, you see the signs off 44. I'm trying to remember what town that's in. It's the one that's got a because I know it's the same town that has a winery that looks like a really nice restaurant and winery there. I've never been to it. I've just driven through.
It's on 44.
It's on 44. And I want to say it's like an hour maybe. Southwest, if you leave here and you go past, say, Six Flags, maybe another 45 minutes or something like that. And I just remember seeing that there's actually a museum of vacuum cleaners there.
Wow. I'm looking it up while we're talking.
Yeah, I just don't remember.
St. James.
Yeah, there it is. Yep. So
I should have thought about that,
Yeah.
The winery.
But there's enough interest in old vacuum cleaners that's there. And it's been there for years.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
I don't know how many visitors they have in a given day, but.
There's a passion for it, I guess.
Maybe Chuck Grassley will go visit.
Yeah, for old time's sake.
Right.
Yep. Okay, we mentioned this last week. Media gushing over so-called Legacy Week. That's what Michael Brown's biological father is referencing it. And their Channel 5, of course, and Channel 2 covered this pretty extensively. I did not see anything on Channel 4's. At least not on their website. I looked, but I didn't see anything. But Channel 5 and Channel 2 covered it, and they have what they call the Black Ball, which is the fundraiser for their nonprofit group. And as we expected, completely rewriting the narrative of Michael Brown.
Of course.
Completely. We mentioned that when they were doing the preview stories coming up, there was one half sentence that said, oh, yeah, by the way, the police officer was cleared of any wrongdoing.
Mm-hmm.
In the post coverage, it was all when he was shot and killed by a police officer. Death at the hands of a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
They did not use the word murder, although I did see some of the activist groups that are still maintaining that line.
Sure.
But they said death at the hands of a police officer, killed by a police officer. And so
Which is technically true. It's just
correct.
Kind of gives a different impression than...
Right. It's not journalisming very well.
No.
And then just gushing about what they're doing, this great thing. And, somebody said, boy, Michael Brown said, I'm going to heal my community. I'm sure he did. Right. Right. I'm sure. Right. And then trying to frame his dad and stepmom, as just the grieving parents who weren't really involved in his life, from what we can tell, because he was raised by his grandmother. And then, everybody's like, doing the whole gentle giant in the picture with the high school graduation, garb, and not the mugshot or screenshots from when he was assaulting a convenience store owner trying to get cigars or cigarettes or whatever. And cigarillos. And so they're just rewriting the whole thing. And there's not even an attempt by channels 2 and 5 in this to be anywhere near intellectually honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would make a lot more sense to say this event's happening. Here's what the stated goals of this nonprofit is. Here are the vigils that happened, which did happen. That's news.
Mm-hmm.
And to say, born out of the controversy and mixed views of Michael Brown and what happened that day.
Right.
That's intellectually honest.
Yes.
So why do they go so far out of their way to not do that?
To virtue signal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, that's all it is.
Yeah.
That's
a simple answer, and that's the right answer.
They've got to let you know that they're, as woke as they can be.
Right.
I don't know.
It's obviously irresponsible because they're still claiming to be journalists.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of opinion shows.
Right.
Right.
I mean, we're an opinion show.
Oh, we are?
We bring you the news.
Shoot, I've been doing it
and
wrong.
I tell you what the news is, and then I give you my opinion on it.
Yeah.
But they don't claim to be opinion, even though they are. Channel 5 is still, they're just god awful. It is just ridiculous.
I don't watch that much television to begin with, and I certainly don't watch a lot of local news, and so it's hard for me to gauge anymore. But part of the reason I don't watch it is because I don't get anything from it that's useful to my life. Weather I watch, that's useful.
I go in when I read those articles and I watch the videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I go in intentionally, mentally saying, look for something that they're doing right.
Mm-hmm.
Break my narrative. Don't go in with my narrative. Read and you look at the coverage. And Channel 5 was worse than Channel 2, but they were both bad.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, it's not even a matter that you covered the story. It is newsworthy. I do think the events were newsworthy.
Absolutely.
If you covered them objectively, and then the active rewriting of what happened 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. We just see revisionist history all the time. That's just the way it goes. And I guess, maybe they'd catch a lot of flack if they actually did an even-handed reporting of it. I don't know.
They would. Yeah, they would. And if they pointed out that multiple investigations showed that Officer Darren Wilson was justified in his shooting, and he was being attacked by Michael Brown, they'd catch all kinds of flack, and not even so much from the viewers, but probably what would happen is the advertisers would hear about it from the activist groups, and they still think that getting ratioed on social media matters.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not annoying. We've got a big fun event coming up in September. You're invited to attend the annual St. Louis County Lincoln Reagan Day Dinner on Saturday, September 19th, 2026 at the River City Casino Hotel Ballroom. You'll hear from Missouri state officials, Missouri federal officials, and Newsmax host Rob Carson, who wrote Rush Limbaugh's comedy bits for 30 years. There will also be a silent auction. For ticket information, contact Renee Artman by calling 314-398-6667. That's Saturday, September 19th, 2026 at the River City Casino Hotel Ballroom.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself, unless you suck.
On News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Hi, it's Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the region. The summer housing market is hot, and the fall market looks to be as hot. If buying or selling a home is in your future, it is time to act now. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me, Mark Harder, for fast results. RE/MAX Results, 314-852-8933. 314-852-8933. And start packing.
Hey, Jamie Ullman here for Window World. Did you know that Window World offers a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor? They are one of the only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Window World St. Louis has been owned and operated by a group of born and raised St. Louis residents for more than 23 years. And now Window World is offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today, 800-GET-WINDOWS for a free in-home, no-pressure estimate. That's Window World at 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Stop before you dig. Click or call 811. Every dig, every time.
Hitting an underground utility can cause costly damage and serious injury. Contact Missouri 811 online or simply dial 811 at least 3 working days before you dig. It's fast, free, and the law. Safety is in your hands. Every dig, every time.
Stop before you dig. Click or call 811. Every dig, every time.
It's the law. Sponsored by Missouri 811.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. I love Capriati's, and you will too. Visit Capriati's now at 2 locations, on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, another data center proposal goes down.
Uh-oh.
At least for now.
Okay.
At least for now. A Missourian gets a promotion in the White House.
Yes.
Big promotion.
Saw that.
I would say big promotion. He was already pretty high up in the White House. He's just, you don't go any higher than this for his line.
Not really.
No. And the Cardinals make it back to 500 for the season. Fortunately, they got to play one of the worst teams in baseball over the weekend. That helped. It did. All right, 6:50 right now. Let's go ahead and get our first news dump of the week underway.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Whistle Pig Outdoors.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, and I'm being told that we have a little bit of breaking news, Susie?
We do have some breaking
what do we
news.
have?
We were talking about the Vacuum Cleaner Museum.
Yes.
As of April 26, 2019, it was closed.
Oh, the billboards are still up.
It's been closed for 7 years.
I have driven by and the billboards are still there.
I'm like, wait a second, it says permanently closed.
Oh, wow.
So
I had no idea.
Don't go down to St. James with the hopes of seeing the Vacuum Cleaner Museum because it's not
Then
not
you may
open.
get depressed and
But
you have to
can
go
to
to
the winery or go
you
someplace
get
else.
depressed
Go
and you have to go to the
canoeing.
winery.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I just remember seeing the billboards and I've seen them.
Totally agree with you. I just when I was looking it up, I'm like, oh, wait a second.
As you can tell, I have never gone out of my way to go to the Vacuum Cleaner Museum.
Yeah, let's let Chuck Grassley know not to come visit for that.
I love museums.
Yeah,
I do.
me too.
I love a museum, but that one did not. That one did not. What are the souvenirs they sell? I mean, what kind of keychains are you going to sell for that?
I don't know.
I mean, what kind of bumper stickers? No, I don't want to go there.
No,
Okay,
that's inviting some problems,
Yeah,
Mike.
it is. All right. Let's go on to some other news here. Okay. A $16 billion data center project is withdrawn in Pacific. So BLE Land Holdings withdrew their zoning variance application on Friday. They were asking for a change to build the project along basically Highway O and Phelan Road is really where they wanted to put that. So just the south part of Pacific right there.
Yep.
Pacific is among the communities that have passed a moratorium on accepting data center applications. So here's the thing is according to published reports, the company could still look for land in other parts of Franklin County, but there are no proposals submitted anywhere else right now. So it's not a matter of it's done and gone away, but it looks like it probably is in the city limits of Pacific.
Right.
And the Department of Conservation, State Department of Conservation, did, I guess, one of the reports and impact studies that are normal for this sort of project, and essentially said it would disrupt a bunch of wildlife, at least in that location right there. And then, of course, you have all the other controversies around data centers as well. So, okay, Israel rejecting the Board of Peace's proposal for a plan in Gaza, and Israel says its concerns whether Hamas will actually disarm. You think?
Legit.
Yeah, Hamas is not going to disarm. Okay. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that it needs to be genuine disarmament, not fictitious disarmament. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, was on One Nation with Brian Kilmeade on Fox over the weekend, and he says the proposal does call for Hamas to disarm, but then he went on to explain that some of the concerns that Israel has over the, other weapons.
The rockets, the missiles, the factories, and even their individual AK-47s, those come under this new board set up by the Board of Peace that will manage all of it. And the Israelis are very concerned of who then certifies that they've disarmed before they completely pull back.
You're not managing Hamas, guys. They're not disarming. I mean, we how many decades do we have of evidence of this? It's just not going to happen. So, yeah.
I mean, I don't think they're going to voluntarily agree to it. So it's
No. And even if they do agree to it, there would be absolutely no follow through, or it would be done in a clandestine way. I mean, that would be one of the most foolish things to do, is to say, okay, we're good. Hamas has laid down their arms. No.
Yeah.
All right. The U.S. Senate has left Washington, and they are now on recess. They come back sometime next month. I didn't get the exact
September
date.
14th, I want to say.
Something like that. They left without passing the Save America Act as demanded by the president. Senate Republican leaders say they plan to implement parts of the bill into a budget reconciliation act, but they do not have the votes to pass the Save America Act outright.
Correct.
Is where that's at. All right. Former Missouri Attorney General candidate Will Scharf, remember him? He's been on the show a few times. He has a new gig starting next month. Over the weekend, President Trump announcing that he has promoted Scharf to White House counsel effective September 1st. He's currently the White House staff secretary, and he is a former federal prosecutor, and he's represented Trump in multiple cases. So when we talk about White House counsel, we're talking about the top lawyer for the White House for the president.
Correct.
I mean, as far as like getting into this type of law, this is as big as it gets for him.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Congrats to Will for that.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah. So I guess losing that race for Missouri Attorney General turned out to be a good thing for him.
Maybe, but both he and Andrew Bailey are serving in the administration, so
right,
go figure.
Yeah, different areas. So yeah, that's a major thing. Let's see here. All right, what else do we have going on here? Okay, Democrats. A lot of them pledging to support Michigan Senate nominee now, Abdul El Sayed, after he won that nomination, beating Congresswoman Haley Stevens in the Michigan race. What you got there is you've got some centrist Democrats. And in Michigan, you say, well, are there? Yeah, they're called auto workers. Because a lot of them are not the fringe left crazy people. They're the old-fashioned blue-collar Democrats. And there's still a lot of them up there. So they've got that party split that's happening at the moment. Senator Tom Cotton, Republican out of Arkansas, he was on Life, Liberty, and Levin on Fox, and he says he thinks this is a sign the Democrats are turning, obviously, to the far left and criticizing El Sayed's connection to Hassan Piker.
Palled around with people that said America had 9/11 coming. He wants to abolish ICE. He wants to stop border enforcement. He wants confiscatory levels of taxation for hardworking Americans.
El Sayed saying basically saying that he represents a very different America. I think that's fair to say.
That's fair.
Accurate, yeah. And he tells voters that the Trump family is interested in making billions of dollars off of you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, good luck with that. I don't know that that's going to sell. I think Mike Rogers is probably well positioned in that race.
Yeah.
Because of the contrast, you're seeing a lot of the centrist Democrats saying, "I'm not going to support that guy."
Right.
Not all of them are going to vote for Mike Rogers, but.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, I don't know that much about Michigan politics, but it seems like had the nomination gone the other way, that Haley Stevens was probably in a very good position, would have been in a good position.
I think so.
To run there, but because they've nominated basically.
A leftist extremist.
Yeah, they've nominated an Ilhan Omar. is what they've done. And I don't think that plays in Michigan the way that it plays in Minnesota, but we'll find out.
I mean, it might play in Detroit. It might play in some of the college
Dearborn,
towns. In Ann Arbor even, but it's not going to play in the state at large, I don't think.
It's going to be fascinating to see what happens here. All right, the national average price for a gallon of gasoline as of this morning, AAA says, is $4.01.
I filled up yesterday for $3.16 a gallon.
16, really?
Yeah, there's a gas station over on Mid Rivers that's got a kind of doing a loss leader thing, and it was crowded. It was quite crowded
because I saw $4.99 on the Illinois side in the Fairview Heights area.
$3.16.
Yep. Okay. AAA says the average price in Missouri $3.66, in Illinois $4.24, but I saw $4.99 in one place. Around the metro, average prices range from $3.57 in St. Charles County to $4.30 in St. Clair and Monroe counties. Cardinals end up beating the Rockies yesterday. Final score 7-4, I think it was. Basically, the Cardinals then won the series 2-1.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
There's something magical about walking into your backyard and knowing your family is completely safe and secure. Hi, I'm Sean Long, owner of STL Fenceworks. That's the feeling my team and I have been creating for metro area families for more than 50 years. Whether you're adding your first fence or finally creating the outdoor sanctuary you've always wanted, we offer premium vinyl and stunning ornamental options, all designed around your family's specific needs and lifestyle. While other companies struggle with supply delays and rising costs, we've always proudly used all American-made materials, which means better pricing and faster installation for you. Our experienced craftsmen exemplify our motto, your satisfaction is our passion. From Warrenton to Wildwood, your neighbors trust us because we live here too, and we care about your project as much as you do. Right now is the golden time to build with flexible financing options and a commitment to completing your fence on time and on budget. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. It's something that multiple polls tell us is quite popular with Americans of all political stripes, with the Senate dragging its feet on the bill nonetheless.
The Senate leaving for vacation and not moving President Trump's Save America Act forward before the 5-week recess. The bill would require ID to vote, which many Democrats oppose. President Trump having some fun on his Truth Social page, noting the irony of this video posted by former Vice President Kamala Harris, who says this.
This president is trying to push this SAVE Act, which basically would require that for people to register to vote, you're going to have proof of who you are.
Laura Winters reporting.
With the midterm elections fast approaching, the Republican National Committee is preparing to host an unusual midterm convention scheduled for next month in Dallas.
It will focus on portraying Democrats as captive to socialist and progressive extremists. GOP operatives have compiled extensive footage of figures like Hassan Piker, James Tallarico, and Michigan Senate nominee Abdul El-Sayed to depict Democrats as out of the mainstream, with speakers including Vice President J.D. Vance, HHS Secretary RFK Jr., and President Trump delivering primetime attacks. Ken Lorman reporting.
Progressive candidates for governor in Wisconsin and U.S. Senate in Minnesota making their final appeals ahead of tomorrow's primaries. Democratic incumbents in Connecticut also trying to fend off challengers from the left. Iran continues insisting on restrictions on shipping through the Strait of Hormuz as it negotiates the future of the strait with Gulf neighbor Oman. The U.S. insists the strait is an international waterway and should be open to all. The Dow futures are down 59 points, while the NASDAQ futures 31 points higher, and the S&P futures are up 3. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're in the midst of yet another heat wave. In fact, temperatures this afternoon going to be even hotter with a high of 97 degrees. We are under an extreme heat warning, and you can expect the heat index to reach as high as 107 today. Very light winds, mostly sunny skies. We only fall to about 79 degrees overnight, and then we do it again tomorrow with that excessive heat. Please be cautious if you are outside. Take frequent breaks indoors or in the shade. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Susie Moore.
They look very aggressive. I think they want to beat me up.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, so I'm sound asleep around 11:30, 11:35 last night. Then I wasn't sound asleep anymore. My phone goes crazy. Now, normally if like somebody sends me a text or something in the middle of the night, I'll find it the next morning.
Yeah.
But when the Amber Alert happens, and I don't think there's any way to get this off your phone.
No.
They're programmed into where you cannot say, okay, I don't want these. Those, and I think the presidential emergency alerts are like the two things you cannot get rid of off your phone. I mean, if there's a way, let me know. But it's just buzzing and going off, and it's lit up, and it wakes me up. And I'm a fairly heavy sleeper.
Yeah.
And it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And even though I have the ringer off, it's buzzing, and it just won't stop until you actually do something
That
to
tells
touch
me how
it.
sound asleep I was, because it did not
Yeah.
wake me up, and that's unusual.
So I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, so I hit the thing and then roll over and go back to bed, Amber Alert.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that I become that desensitized to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of defeats the purpose.
Right. It's like when the alarm on my phone goes off, and it used to go off. Now I found a way to switch it off. Flood warning in your area because it's going to raining. I used to get those all the time. And so you can't get rid of this. But now I just found out, because you saw this on one of the local TV stations, and I look, you're right. A woman is facing charges for filing a false police report that led to the Amber Alert. We just had this happen a few months ago, too.
Yeah, don't do that.
Remember the big thing in like Afton?
Uh-huh.
And so, according to the police department in the city, officers were called to basically South 4th Street in Choteau.
Mm-hmm.
About 10:30, which tracks, because I got the alarm about 11:30, 11:35, after receiving a report from a mother who said that somebody in the Dodge Charger had stolen her vehicle with her 1-year-old child inside, hence the Amber Alert. And so they were using, camera systems and real-time trackers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And police said the suspect identified in the incident told dispatchers there's no child inside the vehicle, and then he intended to surrender to police. Okay. So during the search, police located the vehicle. It was all the way out in St. Charles. I mean, it took a long way. Vehicle was seized. Suspect was taken into custody. No child inside. Okay, so then during the investigation, the police determined the vehicle had not been stolen. The mother did not even own the vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Do we know she's even actually a mother?
No. Do we know that the child exists?
I don't know.
Oh, wait a minute. Officials confirmed the child was safe, and the reported abduction was completely fabricated. And so the 25-year-old woman is the mother. Her name's not listed in the story here. So she was arrested for making a false report. They're still investigating. And then this is, again, second time in recent months. The police have gone all out for the Amber Alert based on one of these reports. And when this happened before, you get so mad at the people who file the false report because, first of all, police, almost every available detective in St. Louis County rushed to Afton for this last one.
Yeah.
And this one here, they go from the city to St. Charles. And so God knows how many resources were used on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like people get it in their heads that if they say there's a child abduction involved, they'll get more. But in this case, the car wasn't even stolen. Although I guess in the last one, it was not really necessarily stolen either.
It wasn't stolen either.
So it's like they're trying to, I guess, get revenge on somebody or get somebody in trouble. They did say that they determined she had been using drugs and she has substance use issues. So that probably was playing a role in this too. But yeah, it's like, first of all, the suspect called in and said, I'm going to turn the car in. And then it turned out the car wasn't stolen. He was just saying, like, there's no kid in the car.
And they found out that suspect turned out to be just some guy who got caught up in a woman's craziness.
Yeah. The good thing is she's going to face consequences for this. I haven't looked to see what was the continued fallout of the Afton situation, but I'm hoping and assuming there's, at least some criminal consequence for it. You can't do this. You can't.
And this can't be one of those where you just say, okay, nobody got hurt, no harm, no foul. No, there is harm. And I'm going to admit one of my bad reactions is that I looked and saw it was an Amber Alert, and then I didn't even read it. I just clicked, swiped the thing, and that's what I do with them now. And I know I shouldn't.
I don't do that, but I just didn't hear this one. So this morning when I opened it up and saw that it was there, I did look to see to have in my head what it was they were looking for. And at that point, they hadn't said it was a hoax.
Right.
So in my mind, I was like, okay, Dodge Charger with Illinois plates, whatever.
With stripes or whatever it was.
I wasn't going to go looking for it.
No,
but.
No. And I'm like, but we've seen enough of these cases. Even if they're the minority of cases, that's still my reaction. I think it's like
we're turning into the boy who cried wolf.
Exactly, and that's the reaction that we've had, and we shouldn't, because I think the concept of the situation is obviously something that's real. If you can put hundreds of thousands of eyes out there looking for something, you've got a chance of
Yeah, I mean, and when you're talking about particularly, a young child being at risk, that sort of thing. I mean, like every second counts, and because the longer that person is not accounted for, the more danger they are in.
And then when somebody does something like this, or like the Afton situation that was 2 or 3 months ago, then what happens is people just become more and more and more desensitized to it, and it becomes more of a eye roll sort of thing. And one of these days, there's going to be one of those where we're going to do that, and then the person's going to drive right by us, not even look at the thing. So that's one of the harms.
Agreed.
I mean, this type of thing, I think people ought to go to jail for. I mean, to be real honest, I think you should.
I don't know.
Well, abuse of emergency systems is illegal. I mean, you can't. So I can't imagine that there wouldn't be some sort of, well, I can't imagine because we live in a society where judges and prosecutors don't stick charges, but I don't know. I have a theory that if we made more minor crimes non-incarcerated felonies, we could fix a lot of problems. And I think that this is a situation where that would work because we wouldn't have to put you in jail, but now we can say, look, you're a felon. This is going to have a real impact on your ability to do things in life if you're going to be doing nonsense like this.
I mean, maybe that's something worth exploring. I will note that the two women in Afton, they were charged. I'm looking up right now to see what the status of their cases is, if I can find it out. But they were charged criminally for what they did. I think this woman's facing, criminal repercussions as well.
And Melissa Price Smith in that case, she made it very clear she doesn't intend to slap him on the wrist and let it go.
No,
she was like, "Yeah, we're not messing around with this." So
they should be stuck with a bill for the cost of whatever investigation was going on.
They cost it was like $16,000.
Yeah. Why are we footing bills for this kind of crazy, reckless behavior when it should be their responsibility?
Yeah, when if it were a legit call and a child was abducted, and then we spent $16,000 or $20,000 to catch that child or catch the perpetrator and get the child back, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not complaining about that bill.
Not at all.
That's what we're paying for law enforcement. I no issue there, but because they got the helicopters up and they got everything on that. And then can you imagine being this guy who's like just driving his truck, going to do whatever he's going to do in St. Charles, and all of a sudden he finds out that he's the subject of an Amber Alert because they think he stole a baby?
Exactly. Well, that's when, in this instance, the guy did the exact right thing, called in to let them know, like, look, I'm this person and this is what's going on.
Yeah.
So that he wasn't, because he could have been caught up in something that could have gotten dangerous as well.
Yeah.
So thankfully he knew what to do.
Just crazy.
It is.
Yeah. All right. Real quick here. Senate out of session. We just mentioned that in the news dump. President Trump's not happy about that at all. Republicans have basically said, okay, here are a few parts of the Save America Act, some of the big ones. We can get it done this way, but we just can't pass the bill to do it. A lot of frustration, I think, with a lot of Republicans. And John Thune not showing the greatest, forceful leadership out there, but he's looking, saying, I don't have 60 votes. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. So you can criticize him and go, you're not delivering, which a lot of fair points on that. But if you don't have 60 votes, you don't have 60 votes.
Yeah, and I think in his situation, he's worried about having the majority. Like even if they tried to do, some measures by reconciliation or that, in another way that would be filibuster proof, that he's not sure that he would have. He's got the Sour Grapes Caucus to deal with now, and then he's got Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins to deal with, and absent Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
So,
so at least if Mitch McConnell can come back, you get that vote back.
In theory.
And has Mitch McConnell shown any heartburn over the Save America Act?
No, I don't think he has. Sometimes he's been contrarian, but I don't think he necessarily would be on this one.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, so you would get that back at this point. But, President Trump ordered the Republicans in the Senate to stay in the Senate, and they're like, yeah, that's not how this works. And they sent them back to,
They're gone. They gone. Yep. They gone. I know we're sometimes told don't judge, but at 7:20, we're going to tell you why a lot of people were held up at an airport and asked, would you judge at least a little?
All at once depart, no destination, making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Columbo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, ephes, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Mark your calendar for the annual Leadership for America Dinner 2026, Friday, September 25th at the St. Charles Convention Center Grand Ballroom. Join News Talk STL for an unforgettable evening featuring keynote speaker Nick Shirley, the independent journalist who exposed the alleged fraud in Minneapolis, plus additional speakers and guests. Dinner's included, so come hungry for great food and bold ideas. For tickets and more information, visit newstalkstl.com.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, you want to give some grace to parents with little kids when those kids are being rambunctious.
Absolutely.
You've been there. I've been there.
Yes.
We've all been there. But at what point is it okay to? At what point is it okay to start judging? At least just a little bit. Okay. Here's the situation. You tell me if you're judging. So this happened in British Columbia, Canada. A flight had to be canceled because a young child wouldn't sit down in their seat, refused to put on a seatbelt. Okay. A spokesperson for Porter Airlines, this happened, I guess, Thursday afternoon, from British Columbia's Victoria's International Airport, did not take off 11:03 p.m., so late flight here. 11:03 p.m. Pacific, which would be early morning hours here.
Yeah, but if they're in
early
British
morning.
Columbia, but it's
Right.
late, yeah.
Yeah, that's late. This is according to CBC Toronto. So the plane left the terminal, headed to the runway. The child would not sit down, and it does not say exactly how. They just said small child. And by the way, there's nothing in any of the articles. I read 2 articles on this. Nothing that indicates we're talking about a special needs child.
Okay.
So that it doesn't look like that's on the table here, because there's always something goes, well, maybe they're this.
Right. It sounds like we're talking about a toddler.
We're talking about a young child. Yeah. The young child standing in their seat would not put on the seatbelt, would not sit down. The child's parents and the cabin crew tried unsuccessfully to buckle the child in, which tells me they were kid was putting up a fight.
Mm-hmm.
So the plane could not take off because the little child wouldn't do it for the safety reasons, lest the child get thrown about the cabin.
Yeah.
On something. And so the plane had to go back to the terminal. The crews had to bring the pedestrian bridge back out to the plane, remove the child and their parents, get their bags, refile the paperwork. By the time that was all done, it was an hour and a half later. And then the airport, which is when the airport's runways closed for the night.
Mm.
And so all they could do was apologize for the effect it had on the other passengers. So they all had to spend the night in Victoria that Thursday night, Friday morning, and they were able to fly out Friday night. So it cost everybody on the plane their flight to wherever they were going. Do we judge the parents here?
You strap them and their kid with a parachute and kick them off the flight and continue for everybody else that was behaving. I mean,
Well,
that's
they hadn't taken off yet, so the parachute
well, then
wouldn't have
just
done
kick
much.
them out and say, okay, we're going to go see you over there.
Yeah.
And then once they get off the plane, you close the door and you take off.
Yeah, and I think the problem here, that was my reaction too, but I think the problem here is that they had already left the terminal, so they couldn't just open the doors up and kick them back off. Now, I'm going to say something here. It sounds like from what you're saying, the parents were trying very hard to get this child to comply.
Yes.
As opposed to just like not acknowledging that it was an issue.
Right.
And at a certain point, if you're away from the gate, you are kind of stuck. Like, okay, you're going to have to remove them from the plane. So I understand logistically what happened here. As far as judging the parents, you do have to wonder, like, what the parenting is like generally if they literally are not able to get their child to comply with this.
Yes.
So I don't have the article in front of me. How old was this kid?
It never says. It just
says young child.
It says small child.
Okay.
So old enough to stand up on their own.
So clearly, I mean, at least big enough to some degree to be able to put up a fight. But I mean, I don't have kids. You guys do. So correct me if I'm wrong. But I spent a lot of time with my younger brother, who's almost a decade younger than me, and I've been around a lot of other people's kids. Discipline starts at the home.
Oh, 100%.
If they're acting like this in public, then they're probably acting like that all the time at home, and you are a weak parent for not getting that behavior correct.
That's why I'm asking. And do you judge a little at least?
And that's why I was saying it does sound here like at least the parents were trying to get the child, like they weren't just, because you see some instances where the parents are just letting little Johnny or Susie run around like idiots and they're not doing anything. It sounds like they were trying, but if they don't have control over their child, then that leads me to believe they probably are not doing a good job in terms of setting limits and boundaries and disciplining their child at home.
That
Agree
kid
with
does
you.
not know who the boss is.
Correct.
Well, and I can understand, if maybe it's a situation where this is the first flight ever, the kid's nervous or freaking out, they don't know what's going on. I've been on planes where once your ear pressure starts changing, then all of a sudden the kids are. That's completely different, though. You have to being on a plane with your kid is not the first time to figure out, oh, my kid's not going to comply on a plane. You do practice stuff. You take them out. You see how they behave. Like, you know how your kid is generally what they're generally like, and you're still selfish enough to subject everybody else. Not only that, but to have to witness you're fighting with your kid like a moron, but then you're also sitting there and rooting the flight for everybody else.
Yeah, for like 24 hours.
Right.
24 hours. I mean, to that thing, like if I get on a plane and I see little kids or babies, I'm like, crap, because you know that the pressure thing it hurts them.
It does.
And you know you're going to deal with some crying, but there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, it is what it is, and you don't worry about it. But when you've got this case where a kid's being a little terror, like you see it, like where else have you seen that? Like, for instance,
at a restaurant.
I was about to say some not super fancy restaurants, but some nice sit-down restaurants.
Right. But
you will see those.
In that instance, the people can be asked to leave. The people can leave, and it doesn't, while it inconveniences you momentarily, it doesn't end your meal. It doesn't prevent you from being someplace you're supposed to be.
Yeah. When I see the parent like pick up the child, we're going to go out and take them out because they're worried about everybody else. I'm like, okay, good on you.
Correct.
Because kids can be rambunctious. Like, it's the ones who will not acknowledge that you're ruining things for everybody else, and little baby is far more important than anybody else.
Right. And I don't know if these parents fall quite into that category. That's why I'm judging lightly, because something that you said made me think like the parents genuinely were trying to like get their kid.
That's what the line in the
as opposed to just
said.
like, well, what are you going to do? Yeah. But the fact that they weren't able to get their kid to behave and comply tells me that they are not doing a bang-up job at home of enforcing discipline and showing the child who is in charge.
Oh, these parents are absolutely weak parents. I can tell that right away. If you are struggling that hard with your kid to where the flight people have to say, get off the plane, you are absolutely a failure as a role model and as the parent in the situation. And old school parenting habits have changed, and times have changed. But I vividly remember when I was very young, I had to have been 3 or 4 years old. I was misbehaving a lot, and somebody that was at the store where I was behaving didn't threaten me, didn't imply violence, but came over very sternly and said, "We don't act like this here. You need to knock it off." And that, okay, I can't act like that because now my parent is not giving me permission to do that. I don't think if somebody on that plane had gotten up and said to the kid or to the parents like, "Hey, knock it off, you're on a plane," that I think the parents would have switched their anger at the person if they tried to intervene.
Possibly. I mean, it's hard to know. Like I said, I'm judging lightly because there was at least, it seemed like an effort, but that does tell me the parents probably have an issue with discipline at home.
Right.
I will also say this, I'm just going to play a little slightly devil's advocate, having been in that situation, when you've got a 3-year-old who is pitching a fit and it's just you, and you're trying to get milk and pay for it, and you don't have any other way to do it other than shoving the kid under your arm and holding it in like this while you're trying to get your money out. Yes, I've been in that position. She wasn't necessarily prone to those sorts of fits, but she was having one that day, and there was nothing I could do because I couldn't go home without the milk because she needed the milk, and I couldn't leave her in the car. So it was like I was stuck. I got out of the store as fast as I could, sat her in her car seat very firmly, and looked at her, and I brought out my like devil voice. You will never do that again. And it did scare her, and it got home. But it was like there was that moment of panic where I was like, I've got a kid having a meltdown, and I don't know what else I can do right now.
Yeah, but you know what people saw in the store? Was it
Mhm.
grocery store? I'm
It was
assuming?
like Walgreens, yeah.
And what they saw is mom's dealing with it.
Yeah,
That's
I was
what they
dealing with
saw.
the best I could.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of empathy for parents who are suddenly faced with screaming toddler because it can be hard to deal with. But
Well, and I'm not trying to imply that kids are not going to throw tantrums from time to time, or that if they're going to be cranky and or if they're just bored they start acting up. I understand that that's natural little kid behavior, but if it's a consistent theme where every time you have to go to the store they act like that when you're trying to get milk, or is your next instinct I should bring this on a plane with me?
oh, absolutely not. And I liked your suggestion about particularly for traveling. Maybe practicing, maybe doing a little bit of preparation so the child is mentally prepared for what they're going to be experiencing.
It's going to sound really stupid, but when I was a really little kid, I wanted to ride the bus. I don't know why, but I thought city buses were
that's
cool.
very common.
And what my grandparents did with me is that they would take me for just short sort of drives around to make sure I could actually physically sit still and not be all chaotic in the backseat of the car before they finally took me to the bus. And then eventually I get to ride a train, and I like trains now. But if I had been acting like a maniac or they couldn't get me to sit still, I don't think that they would have thought, yes, let's put him on a bus with everybody now.
Yeah, no, and especially when you're talking about airlines because of the fact that everybody's so interdependent.
Yeah.
That is, practicing ahead of time and talking about it with the kid and having the kid mentally prepared for it is a really good idea.
If I'm on that plane and I can't get to where I'm going for 24 hours and I've missed God knows whatever connecting flight or whatever event, I'm judging probably out loud on that plane. Those parents are. I have a feeling that there were a lot of people who did. They knew what everybody.
They heard it.
Yeah,
I suspect they heard it,
and
a lot.
they can't complain about hearing it. I tell you, talking about to the training, kind of an unrelated story. I was a single parent. I became a single parent when my daughter was 4.
And you had 2 to corral.
Yeah, my son was 6 and my daughter was 4. But before before the first wife walked out. They were like 3 and 5, and they were, when the divorce was final, they were like 4 and 6. And so we had this little tiny duplex. We called it the shoebox that I lived in for years with them when they were really little, just us 3. And so I'm trying to teach them how to be by themselves at the house so I could run some errands. And so I was testing. In the first one, I'm like, okay, I'm going to run up to Quick Trip, which was literally 150 yards away from where we were. And they were like, you're big kids. And we went through the whole thing. And I'm like, okay. So I'm going to shut the door. We're going to lock the door, and I'm going to go over here, just over to the Quick Trip, and get whatever treat I was going to get for him. I said, now remember, you don't answer the door. And we went through it. Okay, what happens if somebody knocks on the door? No. Okay, all right. And so this was just a test. I was literally going to go there and back. It would take me about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And so I walked out. I locked the door. I'm like, okay, remember, that's right. I waited 30 seconds. Knocked on the door. Guess what happened?
They opened the door. Hey,
not
ready.
Daddy. And I went, guys. And they're like,
not ready.
And then they're like, oh, yeah.
But good. You were testing it out, and you learned they're not ready for this, and that's
they
a
were
good
not
thing.
ready in the least bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if I see somebody's kid acting like that, I'm booing them.
Mhm.
Like, boo!
Right.
Now, in other news, he's about to flip a blue congressional seat red. At 7:35, soon-to-be 5th District Congressman Rick Brattin updates us on the campaign and what's ahead in the next Congress.
The fingers pull your stitches tight, but knowing someone's secret is not.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On NewsTalk-STL. From the NewsTalk-STL Weather Center.
We're in the midst of yet another heat wave. In fact, temperatures this afternoon going to be even hotter with a high of 97 degrees. We are under an extreme heat warning, and you can expect the heat index to reach as high as 107 today. Very light winds, mostly sunny skies. We only fall to about 79 degrees overnight, and then we do it again tomorrow with that excessive heat. Please be cautious if you are outside. Take frequent breaks indoors or in the shade. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
At Body of Health, we're a small but mighty family operation with big ambitions for your health. I'm Helene Tobler, and I'm jazzed about how our MRI-grade body composition analyzer is putting personalized health and wellness on steroids. It helps me and Dr. Tobler, that's my husband, refine the advice we give to help you feel better and live longer. Body of Health, trusted, discerning, affordable health care the way it ought to be. Learn more at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
At the University of Cambridge in England, the students are supposedly the best of the best. Professors even better, supposedly. Now word a professor wrote a research paper claiming it was his original work. Then came allegations of plagiarism. He has resigned, not admitting anything wrong, but resigning for the good of Cambridge. Supposedly he had been nonverbal until age 11, illiterate until 18, got a Ph.D. at Cambridge, and in 2023 became the first black professor at Cambridge. There it is. He was hired to be the face of DEI. At Harvard, there are reports the head of the Harvard DEI program was guilty of mass plagiarism, even stealing from her husband's work. And don't forget, just a couple years ago, Harvard's first black woman president resigned after accusations of plagiarism. And let's not forget reporters who plagiarized. CNN's Fareed Zakaria, and just recently a New York Magazine writer. To each and every one of them, I say, the first man, Adam, had a good thing. He knew anything he said, no one else had ever said. And you can quote me. Make sure you don't quote me, quote Mark Twain.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
I'm proud to say that Wellington Environmental has been sponsoring Larry Connors USA for a dozen years. Wellington can help you with any hazardous issues at your home or office. But Wellington also protects our troops, our nation. Recently, Wellington has been disinfecting Army vehicles and equipment just back from overseas deployment, making sure they did not bring back disease or other contaminants. Wellington is also working on some classified jobs with Boeing and has for years. One hospital had issues with possibly contaminated water. Wellington is on the job. In addition to all these big jobs, Wellington can make sure there are no health hazards in your home. He's done it for me. So I'm more than glad to endorse Wellington Environmental. Check them out, environmentalcare.com, environmentalcare.com. Wellington Environmental, your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Here's the reality. Come November, Missouri's going to have another Republican in Congress, and State Senator Rick Brattin is the one who's going to flip the newly redrawn 5th District from blue to red. Mm-hmm. You know, I know I'm supposed to build up a bunch of suspense and all that kind of stuff, but this is what's going to happen. So this is the state where the primaries determine what's going to happen. Missouri is going to be a 7-1 state, and Rick Brattin's going to be soon to be congressman-elect come November, and he joins us right now. And Rick, been a little while since we've chatted, so I appreciate you being on the program here. So, and I know I talked to Chris DeGaulle the other day, and he's like, don't jinx me by saying stuff like that, but that's just the reality of what's going on here with this. You've got a district now that runs literally from downtown Kansas City into the News Talk STL listing area through the middle part of the state. So some suburbs, some urban, a lot of rural on this area here. And what you've got now is, I don't know whether you're going to walk into still being in the narrow majority, or if you're going to be dealing with a split house, or whether you're going to be dealing with a possible narrow minority. I mean, anything could happen in the midterms. And so as you're preparing, yes, I know you're preparing for the general election, but when you're preparing to go to Washington, D.C., how do you incorporate that into the issues you're building and the groundwork that you're laying to head into Washington?
Well, I think there's two distinct, visions of America that we're fighting for. I mean, I know a lot of people are kind of saying that we're going to be the minority, but I think people are seeing the crazy radical left. I mean, and they're very outspoken, and they scream from the rooftops of what they want to do to America. So I think, when push comes to shove with the midterms, I do feel that people are, while they may not be thoroughly impressed with the way the GOP has, taken the marching orders back in 2024, I think they're still going to come out and punch that ticket just because you're seeing communists, you're seeing socialists, you're seeing just absolute radical, crazies that are, winning their primaries in the Democrats. So I'm hopeful we just continue, hopefully have a much bigger majority, but I do think we will hold on to the majority.
Good morning, Rick. This is Susie Moore. First of all, congratulations on your win. And you're obviously going to be representing a large district, and you're going to have a lot more Democratic constituents than maybe you are used to. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you can't look past the November election. You have to get through that first. What are you seeing when you're talking to voters that are issues that even some Democrats can say, yeah, I think we kind of are on similar ground. Maybe there's some common sense solutions here that we can agree on. Are you seeing any of that overlap?
Well, what I'm trying to message out there is, regardless of party line, everybody wants safe streets. They want to have their kid out on their front porch, being able to play without feeling like, some crime's going to occur. They want their kid to be able to read and write. They want their cities to be epicenters. They want them to be growing and a booming, population as well as economically. I think that transcends both party lines. But, this is a great opportunity for us to show that, especially in Kansas City, you've had decades and decades and decades and decades of Democrat rule, and it's been, a downward trajectory for that entire time. Now we have a chance for a trifecta of new leadership of 3 congressional members to represent one population center. I think, hey, this is a time for hope and saying, hey, let's try something new, try something different. Maybe that does, transcend, the party boundary, but at least, hey, we're not doing the definition of insanity like we've been doing for the past several decades. So, that seems to hopefully bring a more uplifting, versus a doom and gloom sort of message. I think that might, carry that message better.
Okay, so when it comes to electing nothing but far left Democrats and watching a city have a downward trajectory, what you were talking about, we, of course, would know nothing about that in St. Louis, just saying. Visiting with State Senator Rick Brattin, soon to be new Congressman Rick Brattin. Okay, so let's talk about the things that you're going to inherit, the issues you're going to inherit once you get to Washington. And that's obviously, a couple of the big ones are going to be the cost of living right now. Energy prices driving everything up. We've got a lot of the key food items still up. Some of the other prices have gone back down. And so there's just overall, it's more expensive, and it's more, the inflationary aspects are hitting us harder than typical inflation does. What can be done from a federal government perspective to address that? Because the Democrats are locking on, realizing this is an issue that applies to voters across the board. It's not one of those crazy men's and women's sports or whatever the case is. This is a real thing. So what is the plan to address this in Washington, D.C.?
Well, I think illegal immigration is one of those things we still have to talk about. Still has to be number one issue. They just came out with a report with 30% of housing increase costs is due directly to illegal immigration, taking homes, and also health care and all these other spokes from the wheel, from the hub of the wheel that do happen. I think we've got to remove a lot of the regulation for. I come from the trades. I know this isn't necessarily the food aspect, but when you're talking the price of things, we have numerous mining capability. We have a plethora of things that we can tap our own resources to bring costs down. Let's start doing that. Alaska was the whole reason we brought Alaska on was for its actual its timber and its natural resources. Why aren't we doing that? I mean, that was the whole point of the state and why they became statehood, to where we're able to bring these building costs down. Inflation it sucks, and that's why many of us in the state legislature, even looking at our state budget, we were like, what the heck are we doing spending this crazy amount of money? It's going to have detrimental effect down the road, and I think that's where we just kind of got to ride it out on that aspect, though, because you can't, and have such an enormous amount of printed cash hit the market like this, and then expect things not to go out of control. There were many of us standing on the rooftop screaming like, "Hey, this is terrible." Now I think we're just, those $600, stimulus checks. They were terrible, and now that stimulus is now just to the detriment. So, there's ways we can maybe continue to cut spending, but we're just going to have to ride a lot of this out because of past policies that, again, like the state of Missouri, we're looking at budget cuts. Well, we also inflated our budget with operating budget with one-time money from the feds, and the feds did the same thing, and it's really wreaked havoc on our economy, unfortunately. So, there are things we can do, but there are other things that it's unfortunate we're going to have to ride out. But energy is another one. We have the capability to remove a bunch of red tape to allow for, building these nuclear plants, even the modular ones, and being innovative in that. I don't think we necessarily saw the AI boom like we have seen, and everybody was kind of caught with their pants down on the energy need. So we've got to do everything we can to expedite the process to get these things online. So there's a few things we can do, but again, a lot of it's just terrible past policy that, we're just reaping, it's the reap what you sow, mentality.
I know you may not have the ultimate say in this, but do you have particular committees or areas that you've got your eye on once you get to Washington?
Well, I'd love to serve on armed services with Whiteman Air Force. With it's such a huge epicenter for the government's defense spending and our base right here to make sure we maintain our bases. I'd love to be on that, but I just want to be a part of the process. I want to be how we can move a conservative agenda forward. So I'll serve at the pleasure. I know the structure of how you get on committees is completely different. It's not like you just like in the state, you put your best wanted 3 and hey, you just get those. It's totally different structure there. But I know armed services is a big one. Workforce development. I chaired education in the state legislature. So something to where we're able to expand education opportunities for kids, especially like in Kansas City, to where they're able to get away from an extremely failing district to maybe be able to get a voucher or something to a thriving school, something to that effect. I'd be happy to serve on.
Okay, and people want to check in on the campaign. I think we've already tagged you on our social media, Rick, but they want to look at the other issues, got questions, want to get in touch. What's the way to do it?
RickBrattin.com. That's my website. You can go to Rick Brattin for Congress on Facebook, and then my Twitter handle's my name. So, yeah, anybody that wants to help be a part of the movements, and actually sending conservatives to Washington. Missouri's an amazing state. We've really changed the Overton window and are kind of as we saw with Will Sharf, now he's the number one guy to the president. So, I mean, Missouri has got quite the delegation going to Washington. So I appreciate you having me on.
You got it, Rick. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Rick. All right, coming up, we're going to do the Past Forward segment. So just in case you were wondering what we were talking about 10 years ago this week, it was the Olympics in Rio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there were some controversies on that.
There were. And never fear, for those of you who aren't quite done with your weekend, we do have a National Lazy Day coming up this week.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Democrats produce mobs. Republicans produce jobs.
On Newstalk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
We're going to start calling you Scott Randolph Hearst Fawn. You've got magazines, newspapers.
Everything you think about the establishment media, you're right. There is a extreme anti-Trump bias, and there's a significant liberal bias. The Trump drives these people nuts. If you're trying to do a fair job in media, the Caitlin Collins of the world make your life harder.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on Newstalk STL.
Monday warrior, mean stride. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
All right, folks, it's time to rewind the headlines and fast forward to the fun. So, where were we? What were we talking about a year ago this week? Washington, D.C., crime crackdown and federal intervention. That was big. That was big. President Trump announced an aggressive federal response to crime in Washington, D.C., including deploying federal law enforcement and asserting greater federal control over the Capitol.
Yeah, we're talking about last February, March.
Year.
Oh, no,
No.
you're talking about 10 years ago.
No. I'm talking about a year ago.
That's right. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm catching up here.
I know. We've all lost time a little bit, right? Right. So, but that was a big deal. Like, they were really cracking down on crime. This is also in the midst of the immigration kind of crackdown, too. But this was more about crime. And because D.C. is a federal district, the administration was saying, we've got the authority to do this. And, of course, the left was squawking about it. I think there were lawsuits filed over. But guess what? Crime has really dropped in D.C. And, people are, more excited to go visit.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not really hearing a lot of complaints at this point about the fact that the crime has gone down. So, okay. Another big story this time last year was, interestingly enough, President Trump launched the Smithsonian overhaul ahead of America's 250th anniversary. And on August 12th, the White House announced a sweeping review of Smithsonian museums and exhibits to ensure that they reflected what the administration described as a more accurate and patriotic telling of American history, implementing President Trump's March executive order, restoring truth and sanity to American history.
And that fight's still going on.
That fight has heated back up. Ironically, because now we're seeing that they set up a commission to review it, and they reviewed it, and they're like, oh, there's some problems here. So now they're trying to address those problems, and of course, the left is squawking about it because that's what they do. All right, so that was a year ago. 10 years ago this week, the Clinton Foundation pay-to-play allegations were coming to the forefront. There were new reports about Clinton Foundation donors receiving access to senior State Department officials, reigniting questions about influence, ethics, and conflicts of interest. Clinton's conflicts of interest.
Imagine that.
Go figure.
Yeah, but it all worked out. The Clinton Foundation has gone on to become one of the most robust, impactful charitable organizations.
Maybe not.
Oh, that didn't happen.
Did not happen.
Never mind. Once the political capital ran out, so did they, essentially.
Strangely enough.
Okay.
And
I stand corrected.
Yeah. As I also alluded to, the Rio Olympics and patriotism were big in the news 10 years ago this week. The Summer Olympics were in full swing, while coverage was celebrating Team USA's success, particularly swimmers like Michael Phelps and gymnast Simone Biles, who's got other reasons she's in the news.
But she won.
She was
like
top
everything.
notch. But there were also controversies involving athlete protests, patriotism, and the role of politics in sports. Go figure. That hasn't really changed a whole lot since then, has it?
No, it hasn't.
No, it hasn't. All right. Well, that's what was going on a year ago and 10 years ago. But let's flash forward. What national days are we going to be celebrating this week? All right. As promised, Mike was highlighting the need for this. Like, you need to unplug and decompress. You need to step away from the news and the politics and just relax. I've got good news for everybody, because not only were you able to do that over the weekend, but today you can continue doing that by celebrating National Lazy Day.
Lazy Day.
Yeah. I mean,
tell me more.
Yeah, well, I will tell you more, because I think this is something that we should catch on, okay? It gives us permission to relax and kick back, so we're going to be a bit lazy here. As you can see, there's not much more information regarding this annually celebrated holiday, as we do not feel like doing any research. That's what the National Day people said.
I'm not going to do anything.
Actually, we don't feel like doing anything at all. No. Consequently, we are in our hammocks with a couple of good books and glasses of lemonade and iced tea. Yes, it's a lazy day. That sounds like a good lazy day.
I don't know if I can get on board with this. I think I need to protest it.
Well, that's going to take some energy.
That's good. Yeah.
Can't afford to be lazy about that. But today is National Lazy Day. The other good thing about today is it's National S'mores Day. So you could be lazy, enjoy your time in the hammock with a book, and then later on maybe have some s'mores. I mean, that's going to take a little bit of work, a little bit of effort, but you can still enjoy some s'mores.
How toasty is the marshmallow in the perfect s'more?
Pretty toasty. I mean, I don't like it like charcoal, but I like it to have a nice kind of crispy outside.
Say dark crispy, like medium dark brown.
Correct.
Would be the perfect marshmallow.
What about you, Jerome?
Black as coal.
Really?
I want to feel like I'm chewing on charcoal.
Yeah. I mean, the chocolate does kind of help offset it, and the graham cracker does too. But I just kind of like that hint of it. I can't understand why people don't when they don't roast them hardly at all. It's like, what is the point of that? I don't know. I don't get it. All right. Well, those are the days today. Tuesday, it's National Play in the Sand Day. Well, I mean, you're winding up beach vacations. Why not?
Sure. Why not? Yeah.
Well, go make a sandcastle.
Yeah.
Have you ever made a sandcastle?
When I was little, yes, that was true. Yeah, see, my son and his family live in Florida, and real close to the ocean, so I get a lot of pictures from the ocean, from the sand, playing in the sand. Yeah,
I had a backyard sandbox.
Oh, so I did too.
Yeah, so not always sandcastles, but I was always playing in the sand.
Yeah, and then there's always that moment where you're like, I got sand in my mouth somehow.
Yeah, that's right.
There's nothing worse. It's like, blah, blah. Tomorrow is also National Presidential Joke Day.
Okay.
I didn't know there's so many these days. I didn't know we needed.
Okay,
a day
so
for,
let's put an asterisk next to that one. We should find some for tomorrow.
That's a good point.
I think
we should absolutely do that. Let's celebrate
and
it.
Nobody
in style.
is off limits.
No, absolutely not. Wednesday is National Middle Child Day. So Jan Brady, this is for you.
Okay.
My sister can appreciate that too.
How many siblings do you have?
Oh, there's 4 of us total. So there's 2 middles. I'm the baby.
Yeah, see, I'm the older of 2. We didn't have a middle. What about you, Jerome?
I guess I'm a I've got an older brother from my dad, and I got a younger brother from my mom.
Okay. So you're the middle child.
You're the middle.
I'm a Venn diagram.
Wednesday is your day. It's also National Vinyl Record Day.
Yeah. We're celebrating. Yeah. I love that those have made a comeback.
I do too. I don't get them out and play them, but I like the idea. Okay, I don't know. Thursday is National Prosecco Day, which I gotta say, I like sweet wines. I don't really like Prosecco that much.
I don't know what that is.
It's like champagne, but it's like a sweeter version of it. So it's got the fizziness. It's got the...
My daughter loves those.
It
loves them. I
don't know. It doesn't, for some reason...
Fizzy Kool-Aid.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's wine. I mean, it is alcohol. But it's also National Filet Mignon Day.
Oh, that's a good filet mignon. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Can't go wrong with that. All right, how do you like yours cooked? Don't tell me charcoal.
I don't know what a filet mignon is either.
What?
Said,
Steak, filet mignon.
I don't live a lifestyle that affords me a lot of steak. I guess
Yes, we know
medium rare. I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm more of a medium guy, but yeah.
Okay, it's just a cut of steak.
Yeah,
I can't even.
A very good one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a solid meat. I used to be medium well. I've stepped it back to medium, so you can appreciate it. Friday is National Creamsicle Day. Those are good.
Yeah. Those can't go wrong with that.
Also, National Navajo Code Talkers Day. Now, that's something I don't know a whole lot about, but that would be cool to research.
Fascinating story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fascinating story because
Maybe
this
I'll
goes
do a little
back
research
to
before
World
Friday.
War II, and the Navajos, their language is so complex that they brought them on to relay messages because
Correct.
their language is so complex and so unique that the Axis couldn't crack it.
I might do a little research into that so
It's
we can have more to talk about on Friday.
Fascinating story. Yeah.
I do also want to bring up an honorable mention. It was Sunday yesterday, but it was National Rum Day. So for those of you who like rum, I'm not really a rum drinker.
Yeah, I'm not a huge rum guy.
No, I'm not either. Does rum go in pina coladas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like every once in a while, that's good.
There's a huge difference between like a top shelf delicious rum and then the Timu version. It's just big difference.
I don't drink a lot of rum, but
Yeah.
for those who do, yesterday was your day, and you can continue to celebrate today during Lazy Day. I have no beef with that whatsoever.
Yeah, you do you.
You do you.
And you know what? Sammy Hagar now has a rum business.
Even better.
You could because he supports St. Louis. Just say it's all for Sammy.
There you go.
Tired of big corporate repair shops? J&J Auto and Tire is family owned and St. Louis proud. 16 years of honest answers, even when it's not what you want to hear. Digital inspections sent straight to your phone, videos and photos of exactly what we found. No guesswork, no pressure, just a trained service advisor helping you make the right call. Contactless drop-off, loyalty rewards, fleets welcome. All backed by a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty. J&J Auto and Tire on Page and Overland. Honest repairs, real people. Book today. JamandJAuto.com.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomason. Saying that Iran is in bad shape, President Trump adds the U.S. is only semi-negotiating with the Islamic Republic and is low-keying the talks. Iran, meanwhile, remains defiant, holding to a list of demands including an end of the U.S. naval blockade, the withdrawal of all forces, and compensation for its losses. The Iranian regime has chosen a new leader for its National Security Council.
Mohsen Rezai is 71 years old and has long held senior military and political roles. And that is significant because there'd been speculation that Iran's rulers would start promoting a new generation of younger figures. Instead, the old guard seems still very much in charge. Mr. Rezai is also determined that Iran should continue to control the Strait of Hormuz. He's publicly stated it's far more important than acquiring nuclear weapons. Some observers suggest he's generally less willing to reach a peace deal with the U.S.
The BBC's Paul Moss. More details of Iran and Oman's deal to manage the Strait of Hormuz are emerging. Tehran suggests that any vessels linked to hostile countries will be barred from the waterway. It is a dire wildfire situation in Western Canada.
British Columbia has declared a state of emergency as a wildfire continues to race through Western Canada, forcing more than 20,000 people to evacuate from communities along Okanagan Lake. An undetermined number of homes have been destroyed. Officials say more than 100 wildfires are burning across the province, with nearly half of them out of control. And they say the hot, windy weather, along with a prolonged drought, could threaten more communities. I'm Donna Warder.
A couple of hundred wildfires also burning in the U.S. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures are down 127 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. I would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're in the midst of yet another heat wave. In fact, temperatures this afternoon going to be even hotter with a high of 97 degrees. We are under an extreme heat warning, and you can expect the heat index to reach as high as 107 today. Very light winds, mostly sunny skies. We only fall to about 79 degrees overnight, and then we do it again tomorrow with that excessive heat. Please be cautious if you are outside. Take frequent breaks indoors or in the shade. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
Do you think he's ready?
He's not ready.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin God.
I'm kind of fascinated by the sudden interest that a lot of conservatives have now taken in the WNBA.
Yeah.
And it's all the drama. Of course, and let's be real, most of this upswing in attention has been because of the drama because of the fights, whether those are legit or staged. I'll just say that. And then obviously now you've got the entire aspect of this to where they decided to throw down their virtue signaling flag on we're pro so-called trans. I can always say so-called because remember, trans is not a real thing. You're male, you're female, and you can adult can live however you want. But now they decide to throw down and go after their own players, their most popular players, probably the only players most people could ever name, because they had the audacity to say, this is a women's basketball league. Only women should be in it. How controversial is that? And so you've got the league, the coaches, and now you've got Clay Travis saying, I'm going to field a whole team just of these guys. And then you've got two former NBA players who say, we looked up your rules. We looked up your rules. All you have to do is say you identify as a female and you qualify. Therefore, I'm declaring myself for the WNBA draft. And apparently they actually have done or are about to do the paperwork on this. All right. We got a really good reaction last time Dr. Andrew Fox was on the show with us. He is the author. You want to see the book. It's called Truth in the Age of Applause, How Stupidity is Ruining the American Dream. And when we talk about stupidity ruining the American dream, I don't know if this is specifically covered in your book. I don't recall it in there, Andrew, but this seems to encapsulate what we're looking at right now with the WNBA.
It's not in the book, but it's certainly stupid with a capital S. You can go right the way back to the book of Genesis. Since God created Eve, man has been on the back of a woman trying to be a woman and trying to destroy the beauty of who she is. And so what we see again is yet another thing surfacing. You got Cantor and White that are they're not trying to become WNBA stars. Of course they're not. They're testing the rules, and they're forcing the WNBA to answer the question, who is eligible to play in the league? And what exactly determines that eligibility? It's a real-time case. It's one thing to really debate transgenderism in sports and be all hypothetical and pontificating about it, but it's another thing to be a 6'10" guy who played for the NBA to say, I identify as a woman. And of course it's a parody in his case. He's not a transgender. He's forcing them to answer the question, okay, I'm declaring for the WNBA draft. Now tell me, am I eligible or not? That is the question, to quote Shakespeare, is am I eligible to be or not to be? Do you recognize me as a woman? A 6'10", strapping, broad-shouldered guy. And I don't think there's a better way to expose the stupidity of this than to get Cantor and White to actually go do this.
Now, one of the things that I think is the amazing stupidity is that I don't think the reaction from these two former NBA players or from Clay Travis or any others would have ever happened had the WNBA had they not decided to do the extreme virtue signaling and make their case and throw down on which side of the cultural debate that they're on and try to make that a marketing point. And now they've been burned by it because overall, over history, there's been activism in sports. We can go back to look at different elements of that, back to the civil rights movement. But at some point, you're saying, play the game and give our community something to unite around. So they wouldn't be dealing with this had they not decided to become ideological and frankly political.
Yeah, and especially when you're a coach of a team with your own team sitting to the left and to the right who do not support transgender in the league. And the coach is saying, yeah, everyone should be given an equal opportunity. If you wanted to destroy the foundation, the confidence, the assurance of the coach that's got your back, it's by doing that. Now, if it was a male coach, that would be one thing, but it's a female coach. For a female to open the door to males to come and destroy the beauty of what it is to be a female in sports is absolutely ludicrous. Declaring doesn't mean you're going to get drafted. You know that. I know that. Your audience knows that. But they're forcing this question again to satisfy and determine the eligibility requirements. But what happens if the league say no? You do not fit the requirements. Well, all hell breaks loose then. Politically, the legal cases that will follow. Cantor's case, again, makes it physically laughable that anyone would consider him to declare as a woman, because he looks like an absolute Goliath himself. So it's deliberately provocative. It identifies a problem in this competitive classification. It's saying someone is a woman is fundamentally different than answering a sports policy question of who qualifies. That's completely different. Look, I'm 6'3", 250 pounds. I used to play rugby. I look awful in a dress. And the last time I wore a dress was actually a Scottish kilt. And I even look pretty bad doing that. And I also wear a beard. And so it's not a question of identity. It's policy. And I love it that Cantor and White have said, we've read your rules and we're going to now challenge your rules. And if they're rejected in declaring for the WNBA, you've got to ask the question, why? Explain your rules then. Is eligibility based on sex, gender identity, puberty, hormones, whether we shave our beards or not? What is it actually based on? And so I love the parody, but I can see what's coming down the line. You are going to get a whole bunch of LGBTQ, sports players that start to declare for men's sports now. Well, I would say bring it on, and then go crush them on the field and go visit them in hospital.
We are visiting with Andrew Fox. The book that Dr. Fox wrote is Truth in the Age of Applause, How Stupidity is Ruining the American Dream. Okay, let's get into the why this matters sort of situation. And you're obviously touching on this. I want to follow up. This is a big drama. This is almost, I'm starting to think, honestly, that the WNBA is focusing on all these conflicts, because otherwise I think there's a lot of people who wouldn't watch them whatsoever. But why does this matter? When you look outside of the WNBA itself, you look outside of that capsule, what are some of the residual effects for young women or for women's sports or just other areas of society that this could ripple into because of the stupid way that this league and their supporters are handling it?
I think if you ask that question to a group of fourth grade students, and in Texas, this week is where students go back to school. If you ask fresh-faced fourth grade students that question, they would say, because women are mummies and they give birth to babies and they look after us and they're different than daddies. And just to answer that question on a childlike level, and then go up a few grades until you get to college and ask the same question to the students, because, women are beautiful. When a man tries to be a woman, they're not so beautiful on that aesthetic level. But on a serious level, it goes back to, why are we destroying the beauty of what it is to be a woman? A woman is an utterly unique object. Shakespearean commentator, Shakespeare himself, Dickens in the characters that he wrote, Lord Byron, C.S. Lewis, Tolkien. You go to all the classic authors, and they describe a woman as alluring and beautiful and different and worth pursuing. Why then should we steal that from them and pretend to be women? Look at it poetically, philosophically, biologically, scientifically, or again on a fourth grade level. It's ludicrous why these things should happen. And I think that Rapone on the USA soccer team, to be honest, I think she should keep her mouth shut. Mm-hmm. She's proved a point. I posted on my own X account, Sophie Cunningham looks beautiful, looks like a woman. Rapone, she looks like my grandma. There's a point where what you believe on the inside starts to show on your face. And they say you deserve the face you have. You got too many lines on it, you've been worrying too much. Well, you look at the faces of men trying to invade women's spaces. And we've not even begun to discuss the question, and we certainly probably don't have time for it. If Cantor and White actually, now they've declared, and yes, maybe they are allowed to be recruited, where are they going to get changed?
Right.
Where are they going to, there's that whole question as well. So it's like, let's back off and stop acting like a live version of Saturday Night Live. This is not funny anymore.
Yeah, Joanna Man, the movie, was not supposed to be a documentary.
Yes.
It wasn't an ESPN 30 on 30. We're just going to put it that way. Andrew Fox, and I've just linked to his website on the Rumble chat box, so we can put that up on other social media. So then the question then becomes, last couple minutes we've got, Andrew, is where do we go from here between these two former NBA players and Clay Travis basically putting up big money and saying we're going to put up or shut up, which, again, I don't think any of them would have done this had the WNBA just focused on saying these are the best female basketball players in the world, and we are going to try to build a product on that. And they had decided to stay in that realm and not try to argue that they are something bigger or more influential than they already are, because they've essentially become a clown show, and very few people are paying any attention to what actually happens athletically on the court. So where do we go from here? Does the WNBA, can they put themselves back into a position to be something that's valuable to women athletes, to female athletes, or at this point, have they just simply allowed themselves to be trolled into oblivion?
Well, I hope so. The simple answer is I hope so. And I would guarantee there are some backdoor conversations between Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, and others, and Cantor White and others, private phone calls to say these strapping, gigantic male basketball players saying to these girls, we've got your back. It's not that you need carrying. You're awesome. You're fantastic. You are superstar at what you do, but we've got your back. And that is a great demonstration of the chivalry of men, I think, in sports, having the women's back. And Cunningham or Clark would make a great coach and get rid of that woman that is, between 2 points that can't make up her mind, that is like a puppet on a string. I think there's a lot of backroom conversations happening where real good men, male sports athletic men, are backing the women that make it happen, that fill the stadiums, that bring in the ticket prices, that increase their salaries. That's another question, the economy of it all. I still come back to it. It's not a question of disrespecting transgender. I believe there is male, there is female, and there's not another gender. But I'm not disrespecting those that claim to be transgender. All I'm saying is the women's basketball league should be specific on their rules and their criteria to be eligible to play. And I think we're all holding our breath. Either we're going to turn left and laugh out loud, or we're going to turn right and say, oh, here we go again.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Andrew Fox, you've already mentioned some of the ways to contact you. We've tagged you on our social media. The website, we find the book where?
It's officially coming out next month. Now it's past all the legal things because there's a lot of names mentioned and stories mentioned in this book that are very real. It's coming out in September. You can go to truthintheageofapplause.com and purchase a pre-sale copy.
All right, Dr. Andrew Fox, thanks. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks a lot.
Guess what we're doing on Friday? We are taking the show on the road, and we are going to be in St. Charles. We're going to be at Mario's Donuts right there off Mugi Road. Susie and I are going to be doing the show from there, and we are bringing back some breakfast stuff and donuts for Jerome when we get back. We promised. We're doing that. So 5:30 to 9, we are going to be at Mario's Donuts. Come on out, say hi, get yourself a breakfast sandwich or a donut or two, good cup of coffee, and you'd never know who's going to stop by and be on the show live. I'll just leave it at that for the moment. But Friday, Mario's Donuts, we are there. You should be too.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Could you explain how the women's good fundamentals make up for their inability to dunk?
Yes, they still laugh.
The men must die.
On News Talk STL.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint, formulated to outsmart the elements. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, mold or mildew. Our home exterior coatings intelligently designed to stand up to Mother Nature. Call 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Everybody, I think pretty much everybody in the area here got that Amber Alert. 11:30, 11:35, something along those lines last night. Woke me up out of a dead sleep. And it's one of those things where you can't switch off the Amber Alerts on your phone. Not that I'm aware of. At least you can on mine. Maybe somebody's got a different kind of phone where you can, but generally speaking, I don't think you can.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that.
There's only one or two things that like you can disable like emergency weather alerts, and you can disable. I don't know that you can do that with the Amber Alert. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't know. If you can, I haven't figured out how to do it. And it sounds awful to even say that, because why would you want to do that? Because just like last night, it happens in the middle of the night. There's nothing I can do about it, and then it turns out it was another hoax.
Another one.
Another hoax.
Wow. What is going on with this?
Yeah, and this, because I saw it, like I said, middle of the night last night, and then just a little bit ago, we now get reports that the woman who called it in, who reported it, she's now facing criminal charges.
Good.
So what happened is she calls in last night and reports that a Dodge Charger has been stolen with her 1-year-old child inside. Okay, well, she does have apparently a 1-year-old child, but the 1-year-old child was not in the Dodge Charger, and it was not even her Dodge Charger. So there's some dude who's driving out to St. Charles, and he finds out that he's the subject of an Amber Alert, and everybody's looking for him because she called in saying that he kidnapped her baby.
So if I'm trying to be gracious with this, I'm trying to look into it as well. Do we know if it was something where she had a reasonable suspicion that maybe her child had ended up in the vehicle somehow, or that was it like an Uber and she thought she left the kid?
It does not look like that.
Okay.
They don't know why she called. The child was found, child safe, and they determined that, first of all, it's not her vehicle. Secondly, the child was never in it. Now, I don't know what the relationship, if any, is between her and this guy. But this guy finds out that he's the subject of this, and so he calls police and says, hey, you're describing me. I don't have a child here. Let me pull over, and you can come meet me. And then they go determine that he had nothing to do with any child being abducted, and turns out the child was not abducted in the first place. It just never happened.
The man was taken into custody but was released after questioning when investigators realized he had not committed a crime. So,
yeah,
I don't want to say at least because that's still minimizing it, but
Right.
I mean, the first time they made up a child in a vehicle for the
Right,
video.
yeah,
This
and the
time,
one in Afton, you mean?
It's
yeah.
like the opposite. They are. I mean, I don't know what the relation to this person would even be, but
I don't know.
So they are. There is a real child. It just had nothing to do with them being stolen by that person.
And so police figured out after they put out this, and they put out the Amber Alert about an hour later, because she first called in around 10:30, and I think mine went off around 11:35. And that's pulling out all the stops. And so she stuck with the story long enough to get an Amber Alert. Now, she's going to face some charges regarding abuse of the 911 system, filing a false report. The same thing that a few months ago, the two women in Afton are still facing some criminal charges over all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of the reasons, because this isn't the first time this has happened. There's been more than these last two. And so now when you see this alert, part of you goes, yeah, but is it?
I really hate to say it, but because I am one of those people where if I'm close enough to an area that I think I can at least maybe do something, I will get in my vehicle and go and just kind of hang out and see where if I can identify anything. And when I saw that one of my initial thoughts is, oh, is this going to be another hoax situation? Well, unfortunately, it was this time.
Yeah, and I don't know why people would do that. I mean, they reference that she may have been under the influence of something when that happens, but this is reckless. Obviously, it pulls away resources from other places where law enforcement's needed, but it also erodes the trust in the system where the concept is a really obviously good idea.
So what I'm seeing, and it's citing First Alert 4, so not only was the vehicle that she reported as being stolen not even her vehicle, but it says that the child was found completely safe and had been staying with relatives. So the child wasn't even in her custody when this whole thing was going on.
No.
This person needs to be put somewhere safe.
Like locked away from the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, again, don't do drugs.
Yeah, drugs are bad.
It looks very much like that's what she's saying, is that she was using some substances she shouldn't have been doing, and drug-induced psychosis is a real phenomenon. But
yeah,
I mean, something if you're at that point in your life where, again, being gracious, you're hallucinating that some random person kidnapped your child. That's best case scenario with this. You need to be under some sort of supervision and get your life turned back around.
I have a feeling that in tomorrow's news dump, I'm going to have an update on the charges that are filed against this woman. And when so many cases, somebody's like, well, there's a mental health issue here. Okay, if you're just doing the drugs, to me, that should not be a mental health issue. I mean, it's like, okay, even if you have an underlying one, you go mask a bunch of illegal, illicit drug use on top of that, I think that should wipe out your defense on that. I just, some shock time, and then if you want to sentence somebody to treatment or something, but there needs to be criminal consequences for this.
Because you are intentionally introducing a substance that's going to exacerbate the entire underlying condition. I mean, if you have anger management issues, going to anger management therapy can help. But if you're also a raging alcoholic and that's what's causing you to keep having these fits, then clearly that's for the public good. You need to be intervened with.
Yeah, because just like you said, because I mean, we've had these discussions before where you said, no, I'll get in the car and go look around. I'm like, I don't. I mean, maybe that's a bad reflection of me, but I see that. I'm like, well, if I'm driving on the highway already and I see it, okay, red, whatever, red car, red pickup truck. Okay, I'll keep an eye out, but I'm not going to alter my day to go do it. And it's like these things. It's the boy who cried wolf, and we've had that multiple times. Not just these last two. It's happened before too.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I've got a soft spot for kids in the community, stuff like that. I don't blame other people for not wanting to get in your vehicle. Most likely than not, you're not even going to encounter another vehicle that needs to be investigated. But no, if I had gotten, and I live close enough to St. Louis, it wouldn't have been that much of a burden to at least try to find like a highway exit or something to see if I can find something for a little bit. But I mean, I would have definitely charged her for my gas money getting there. Then if I found out this is. I guess the silver lining, though, too, is that at least her child was not in her custody while she was using these drugs.
Right.
And at least it seems like she was, the child, whoever that is, was in a secure environment. So,
geez. I mean, so those are things just that really, it really gets under my skin, because out there someday there's going to be a kidnapping and there's going to be an abduction and there's going to be an Amber Alert that people really need to pay attention to. And what's going to happen is we're being conditioned to go, is it really? Is it even real, though? And that's who gets hurt by these things. It's the child later who needs for people to take the Amber Alert seriously.
Well, I mean, if we start attaching some hefty fines to recoup the cost of wasting law enforcement's time and effort and the public's trust in you, then I guarantee you people think twice before they start doing these kind of stupid hoaxes.
Yeah.
Well, if you missed out on the great conversations we were having today earlier, don't worry. We do the Mike Ferguson in the Morning podcast, and you can check that out on your favorite podcasting platform. Just look up NewsTalkSTL.com or Mike Ferguson in the Morning, and Spotify, X, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere that you can get a podcast, you can find it. Or if you want something to put on your smart TV or just hang out on the computer with, we do a live stream where you can actually leave your comments and to let us know what you're thinking, what questions you have, engage with us that way. So look for us on X, Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Omni, NewsTalkSTL.com.
We're there.
You'll find us. Just Google us.
What have I become? Now that I've betrayed everyone I've ever loved, I push them all away.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
Always be yourself, unless you suck.
On News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're in the midst of yet another heat wave. In fact, temperatures this afternoon going to be even hotter with a high of 97 degrees. We are under an extreme heat warning, and you can expect the heat index to reach as high as 107 today. Very light winds, mostly sunny skies. We only fall to about 79 degrees overnight, and then we do it again tomorrow with that excessive heat. Please be cautious if you are outside. Take frequent breaks indoors or in the shade. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Fox News commentary with Emily Campagno next.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Here's Emily Campagno on far-left candidates.
It is too late, frankly, for the whole Democrat Party because they themselves created this when they said blue is blue, right? They said it for people with behavioral problems and character problems like Eric Swalwell and also national security problems. And then they also go straight up to ideology where they have no problem ushering in Mom Donnie because he's the right kind of socialist with Obama, for example, even though his former chief of staff was like, this guy's too much. So their infighting, my point is, has zero impact on actually who's winning the candidacies because they're already in the door. And the restlessness, the dissatisfaction of the youths in the movement are pronounced enough that they are going to vote for anyone that is different because the leadership allowed it and looked the other way instead of coming out strong from the beginning and said, we are saying no to anti-Semitism, we are saying no to anti-Zionism, we are saying yes to capitalism.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Calling all Patriots. Join the St. Louis County Republicans for the annual Lincoln Reagan Day Dinner, Saturday, September 19th at River City Casino. Our keynote speaker, Newsmax personality, Rob Carson. Enjoy a full night of fun and information alongside state and local officials and candidates. It's an evening you won't want to miss. Dinner and program, just $75. For tickets, email Renee Artman at hotmail.com or call 314-398-6667.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
What happens next?
The U.S. strikes in retaliation.
Happens right here.
These are evil, sick people, and we have to rid their cancer.
Iran will not have nuclear weapons.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
One thing is, I think it's, I guess, interesting about the election cycle, and sometimes I step out of the sort of advocate role, activist role kind of thing, because I'm, the conservative guy on the radio, the free market guy on the radio, is that you kind of observe what's happening, not just on that macro level, because in Missouri, for instance, everything in November is going to be about Amendment 3. And I think you're going to look at 30, 40, maybe $50 million spent on this. I think it's going to be that big. That's going to be the only massive thing on the ballot.
Wow.
The statewide race for auditor, Auditor Fitzpatrick is going to absolutely be reelected in a landslide. We know who our Congress members are going to be. 7 Republicans, 1 Democrat. Nothing's changing it. The races are over.
Mm-hmm.
They hate it when I say that. The Republicans like, no, we have to, go through. Yes, you do. You have to finish. You have to run through the finish line tape. Yeah, I get that. But let's be very realistic. The districts are drawn to where the parties have picked the voters, not the voters picking the parties. That's just the way it is.
Amen.
And so, same thing in Illinois. There aren't any dramatic races. J.B. Pritzker, in all likelihood, going to beat Darren Bailey. It's the way it goes. I don't think there's going to be any changes in the congressional seat. Maybe 1 or 2 could possibly be. I would love to see Darren make a great run. Maybe J.B. Pritzker is going to get so unpopular he can get within striking distance. That's more likely than anything being up for grabs in Missouri. But really, it comes down to what's happening on Amendment 3. So here's what you're going to see between now and November is that push to make everything about politics. Now, we've got a lot of work to do on Amendment 3. I think you look at how conservatives got thumped last week. And you cannot assume that because Missouri is a red state, generally conservative, you cannot assume that Amendment 3 is going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
I've already got concerns on how the supporters of Amendment 3 are messaging this. I think there's a lot of conservatives who did not learn their lesson from Amendments 4 and 5. And Amendment 3 that's coming up is a good proposal. It is a good proposal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's going to pass. I think it's going to be incredibly close. You're already seeing lies from the left. But I don't know that the right has identified who are the swing voters we can win and message to them.
And I think that the language being used or the
Mm-hmm.
conceptual nitty-gritty stuff, getting in the weeds, could be reformed and trimmed down a bit to actually be digestible to the average person.
Right. And so we're going to have plenty of time to get into that. But here's why I set all that up, because it's okay to take a breather. And we talk about this like on Friday sometimes, and we're joking about it sometimes. You'd be surprised. I've had a number of people say, man, Mike, you must really love politics. I really hate politics, actually.
Do you know what line of work you're in, Mike?
I know. My minor was political science in college. I'm interested in the process. I've been elected to political office in the past. I've run for others and lost. I'm not going to run again for anything, but I actually don't like the sleaziness of what's become of our political process. I actually don't. I think it's necessary that we're engaged. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we should be. Now, there are people who love politics, and I'm not even going to begrudge you for that. There are some people who love the corporate ladder and the battles between marketing and winning market share, and they love that. That's great. That do your thing. But you're going to have sometimes people try to shame you if you're not doing enough for their political cause. Don't ever let somebody push you into that mindset. Well, I was going to go, visit grandma in the nursing home, and my kids really want me to show up at their school thing, but man, we've got to be out and knocking on doors for Amendment 3. You can do that when it's convenient for you and still go prioritize your family. You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say don't do the other stuff, but I'm saying is that how much of this are you going to manage your part in the process? Are you going to be the one in charge of what you contribute, or are you going to be guilt tripped into saying no matter what I do, it won't be enough?
Well,
if you want to be in a position where what you do is never, never, never enough. Get married. I'm just saying in politics, you're going to be more effective at winning people over when you keep it in balance with other things in your life.
Well, so here's something I personally deal with, because I'm very vocal about the fact that if I feel that something I supported is either not delivering on what was promised or that they have done something to where I disagree with them, I am not obligated to still continue supporting them.
Absolutely.
And I'm not obligated to show up. And the pushback to that is consistently from people on our side saying, if you don't show up to vote Republican, then you basically are helping the Democrats. You're voting Democrat at that point because you're not voting against them by supporting. So
what we call the wasted vote syndrome.
So what would be the sort of solution? Because I'm not the only one that deals with this, but at the same time, I'm not going to be peer pressured into going against my moral conscience.
Right. And that's the thing is, now, first of all, that's how you're going to redirect the Republican Party back to being something conservative at some point, to say, listen, I'm not going to vote for a Democrat, but you Republicans need to earn my vote. I've said that a million times on the air. And so that's one. And I'm not saying don't be passionate about it. Don't be engaged. You should be. I'm saying is take breaks and sharpen your axe and make sure this isn't the thing that defines who you are. I mean, it's one thing to talk to somebody who's passionate about whatever their thing is. Good Lord, can they be tedious? I mean, picture whatever it is that they're passionate about, and they don't understand why you're not.
So, in a way, conceptually, I guess, so to speak, basically be careful of whose crusades you're bandwagoning behind.
Right, and understand that most voters are not living and dying by these political issues or these political candidates or these political parties. They're just not. And when you present a normal human being, you are more likely to have the conversations that could lead to people going, yeah, you're right, that is a pretty good idea. I think I probably should vote for that. Hey, great. Who's got a good sandwich around here? I'm hungry. How about a wrap? Who's got a good wrap? You know, that sort of thing. And we get so militant, and then we do exactly what people on the left do, that we sit there and point out and show how ridiculous it is. But sometimes we get so caught up in it that we do the exact same thing, and we turn people off the same way they do. We just think that because our cause is more righteous, that people should, darn it, take their lumps and comply. No, that's not how that works.
Okay, but counterpoint. Politics is so intrusive, and it dictates so many elements of our lives that you really are not going to benefit at all by trying to ostrich your way out of that and avoid it.
Correct.
So is it more so a matter of maybe just switching up the approach to this, or because
I'm saying be human again.
Be
human again. Because I get asked a lot, just because of what I do for a living. How are you voting? I'll tell you. And I've had people say, I just think you're out of your mind, Mike. How could you possibly vote like that? Okay, well, I mean, if you really want the answer, I'll tell you. But that's what I'll say. As I said, are you just wanting to argue and debate and nobody's going to change their mind? Hey, what do you think Cardinals are going to do next year? Nothing, because there's not going to be a ball season. Hey, I'd rather do that. So I can win a debate and lose people's vote. I can lose people's respect. I can lose respect for myself. Or I can say what's going to be most effective. And that is balancing everything out in my life, knowing what role something has and something doesn't. I refuse to have somebody say, how many doors have you knocked on? None. I am so glad there are people out there doing that. Not what I'm good at. I don't have time for it. But I'll have those people, on the air here. I'll put that megaphone. I'll help you find and recruit those people. That's the role I can play. But sometimes it means you say, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee. Let's go grab a drink. Let's go grab lunch. Let's go have some fun. And when people interact with you like that, then what's happened is they're more likely to listen to what you have to say. If we're going to win Amendment 3, because we're going to be outspent 5, maybe 10 to 1, we just are. If we're going to win this, you need to know how you're presenting yourself, the pro-life cause, the conservative cause. You need to know how you're presenting that to people who only get involved in politics around election time because they have a duty to vote. They watch the news, probably not the same news you do. And you are not going to berate somebody into voting the right way because you've guilt-tripped them into it. It doesn't work that way. When you're talking to people about Amendment 3 or whoever is running in your office, are people going to want to still hang out with you and chat with you after you give them your opinion? Well, then they're more likely to listen to your opinion. And sometimes it's okay to end the conversation as, well, think about it. Let's talk about it later. Hey, did you see that thing on TV? Be human. Because if we're going to win this, it's going to happen with everybody who's watching and listening, those who are pro-life. We've got a lot of leftists who watch and listen. Be the person who influences your social circles. 5, 10, 15, 20 people went, oh, yeah, Jill said something about that. I think she made a pretty good point. I like Jill. She's pretty level-headed. She's not one of these nutcases. That's how we win, heart to heart. I had an old friend of mine named Michael Badnarik. He's died years ago. He ran for the Libertarian presidential nomination years ago, and Michael was pretty radical. You would have liked him, trust me. And Michael had his catchphrase for his campaign, lighting the fires of liberty one heart at a time.
Ooh.
That was his catchphrase. And so that's a similar concept that we need to take in this case for pro-life, but then later on for more freedom-oriented things.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Now, if you are somebody that likes to go out door knocking and asking for petitions, that means sometimes you can't be by your radio. But fear not, if you have the free News Talk STL app downloaded on your phone, you can listen to your favorite News Talk STL programs, such as, I don't know, Mike Ferguson in the morning.
That's right.
While you're out there banging on doors and getting those petitions signed. So, once again, download the free News Talk STL app.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
Lower your car payment today. Lower your car payment today. Yes, you heard us right. You can lower your car payment right now by making this free call and save up to $1,400 a year on your current car payments. Think about your current car payment right now. What's that costing you per year? Now think about what it would be like to put an extra $1,400 back in your pocket. That's the average savings our customers experience. We can help you drive the same car and pay less every month by lowering your car payment's interest rate to as low as 4.67%. At Rate Genius, we can work with you to refinance any car payment. If you qualify, it costs you nothing to find out how you can lower your car payment. To learn more, call this number right now.
800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. That's 800-493-5670.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
Another data center proposal goes down in flames, at least for the moment. Ooh. Maybe not permanently. A Missourian gets a promotion in the White House.
Ooh.
Big promotion. And the Cardinals make it back to 500 for the season. So, fortunately, they got to play one of the worst teams in baseball over the weekend. That really helped.
Yeah.
It really helped. All right, 8:50 right now. Let's do one more news dump, shall we?
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Lee May Concrete and Block. The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, a $16 billion data center project is withdrawn in Pacific. BLE Land Holdings withdrew their zoning variance application on Friday. They were asking for a change to build the project basically at Highway O and Phelan Road, so the south part of Pacific.
Okay.
Okay, Pacific is among the communities that's passed a moratorium on accepting data center applications. According to published reports, the company, though, is still possibly looking for land in other parts of Franklin County outside of the city limits of Pacific, but there are no proposals submitted anywhere else, at least at this moment. So that project may or may not still happen in Franklin County, but not going to happen in Pacific is basically where we're at on that one. So I don't know that there's going to be anything new on that, because that's what you're seeing right now are all these moratoriums to do land use studies, which is what Pacific is doing on this. And they got a report from the Missouri Department of Conservation saying this location would disrupt wildlife, and they listed like 3, 4, 5 different types of species, including the hellbender and including like eagles and things like that. So I have not been intimately involved with what's happening in Pacific. I don't know if it's similar to what's happened in Festus or similar to what's happened in Lincoln County. But the bottom line is that it's on ice for right now, but it may not be a done deal, at least in the region.
Yeah, I mean, AI can be fun and useful, but we still need like actual ecosystems to flourish if we want to continue to have farmlands and swamplands and nature in general. You can't really eat hard drives,
Okay, Israel rejects the Board of Peace's proposal in Gaza over concerns that Hamas will actually disarm. Spoiler, Hamas is never going to actually voluntarily disarm. It ain't happening. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that it needs to be genuine disarmament, not fictitious disarmament. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, his name is Mike Waltz, as you probably know, told Fox's One Nation with Brian Kilmeade that the proposal does call for Hamas to disarm, but he explained some of the concerns that Israel has over other Hamas weapons.
The rockets, the missiles, the factories, and even their individual AK-47s, those come under this new board set up by the Board of Peace that will manage all of it. And the Israelis are very concerned of who then certifies that they've disarmed before they completely pull back.
My guess is that we're going to end up seeing that the Board of Peace probably dissolves after this Trump administration is done. And you're not going to make a deal and have cave-dwelling terrorists say, okay, we'll agree to a deal to disarm when they've got a 100-year plan for world domination, and their stated goal, reason for existing, is to wipe the Jewish people off the planet. They're not coming to a deal. You're just not doing that.
Aren't you so glad that there are communities in Texas and all over the United States where they're trying to expand Muslim influence in the United States as well?
Yeah, because Susie mentioned there's a redstate.com's got an article about a mosque expansion in Texas where people are up in arms about it. I'm going to check out the article on that, because you could have cut and dry First Amendment issues on that. But you do see what the influence is when you look at Dearborn, Michigan, and Detroit and other places like that as well. Okay, the U.S. Senate has left Washington. They are now on a recess until mid-next month. They left without passing the Save America Act as demanded by President Trump. So Senate Republican leaders say they plan to implement parts of that bill into a budget reconciliation plan, but they simply do not have the votes to pass it outright.
What's going on, people?
Yeah, numbers are there. Numbers just ain't there, and I think that for so much of this first part of President Trump's term, he would just demand it and will it to happen, and Congress would basically say, just tell us what to do and we're going to go do it. And that's as you get close to the midterms and then you enter the lame duck era, I think we're going to find out that there's going to be a little different order that's happening, and the president is not the de facto boss of the Senate. He's not supposed to be. But the reality is that the Republicans just aren't there to pass the bill. It's just not there. Mm-hmm. So they'll do it piecemeal somewhere else, and that's as good as it's going to get. And so, you can criticize Thune. I think there's a lot to criticize there, but I think he's just looking at the numbers saying, we can stay in session, but we're still not getting to 60 votes. There's no way to do it. And that's just the reality of it. Okay, speaking of some of the extremism out there, Democrats basically trying to circle the wagons to support left-wing Senate candidate Abdul El Sayed in Michigan. after he won that nomination over Congresswoman Haley Stevens. A lot of members in the Democrats are trying to get them to circle the wagon and say, be loyal to the Democratic Party. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. Senator Tom Cotton, Republican out of Arkansas, was on Fox's Life, Liberty, and Levin. And he says he thinks this is a sign the Democrats are going too far left at their own risk.
Palled around with people that said America had 9/11 coming. He wants to abolish ICE. He wants to stop border enforcement. He wants confiscatory levels of taxation for hardworking Americans.
He's referring to El Sayed's friendship and partnership and support by Hassan Piker, who literally did say that the United States deserved 9/11.
Oh, he has said, believe it or not, even worse things than that as well.
Yeah,
so
I believe it.
If the name Hassan Piker is anywhere near a politician, you know it's somebody that has no business being in American politics, period.
Yep. Former Missouri Attorney General candidate Will Scharf got a new gig starting next month.
Ooh.
Over the weekend, President Trump announced that he's promoting Scharf to White House counsel effective September 1st. He's currently the White House staff secretary. He's a former federal prosecutor, and he has represented Trump in multiple cases. So Will Scharf's already one of the top legal strategists in the White House in the Trump administration, and he's going from one of the top ones to the top one in the White House.
Congratulations.
He's been a big part of President Trump's legal strategies on things, won some of them, lost some others, but he's also been fiercely loyal to President Trump, which carries a lot of currency in the Trump White House, obviously. All right, let's see what else is going on. The national average price for a gallon of gasoline, $4.01 as of this morning.
Ouch.
Yeah, now that's actually because I saw some higher prices. AAA says the average price in Missouri, $3.66, and in Illinois, $4.24. Around the metro, average prices range from $3.50 in St. Charles County as of about 4 o'clock this morning to $4.30 in St. Clair and Monroe counties on the Illinois side. I actually saw in that area around Fairview Heights and in O'Fallon, Illinois, because I had one of my ball games in O'Fallon, Illinois. I didn't get the game, but I was there. I was there. I actually saw $4.99 in one place.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so these are some of the average prices. Right there on the highway, I saw it that much. So we're looking at possibly a little decrease in prices coming up in the next week or two, but it's been up and down. And I'm sticking to the plan of when my tank gets to about halfway down, I'm just topping off now to ride this out.
Well, on the bright side, Iran's begging to have a deal, right?
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah, but we won that war 2 days in. So,
yeah.
Cardinals had the lead, lost the lead, then rallied to win the game and the series. Final score, Busch Stadium Sunday was Cards 7, Rockies 4. Alec Burleson hit another home run, his 19th of the season. Phillies are in town tonight. That game starts at 6:45.
Summer's here, and so is the freshest produce in town at